the I'm a Fan of podcast. Music, comedy, and more.
Jacob Marshall.
Let's do it.
Dude, what's going on, man? How are you?
Dude, I'm so good. I'm so happy to be here, dude.
I'm just glad we finally got it nailed down. You and me have the worst, we can never get our schedules in sync.
100%.
Period. And it's just, I have buddies like that where it's like you'll plan to hang out for like a year.
Yeah.
You know, and then finally you do. But yeah, it was the same way, like trying to catch shows and then getting you in here was awesome. But it was like the stars aligned whenever I went to your Pedicola show.
Yeah.
Because I was really wanting to watch a longer set of Zach Webb before inviting him on here. I'd seen him do a bunch of short sets, but I wanted to see a longer one.
He's so good.
I saw that show flyer, and I love Pedicolas, and I was like, finally it's happening. But what was the company that you were working with when you put that show on?
It's Next Stop Comedy.
Next Stop.
Yeah.
So that's another similar to like Don't Tell and those kind of things?
It's like Don't Tell, but they focus on brewery shows.
Okay. Have you worked with them for a while, or was that?
No, so they reached out to me in March because they did a test show in February with their Austin showrunner at Pedicolas, and it sold out. So they're like, okay, we need to like actually have someone in the Dallas market.
Awesome.
And someone in Austin referred me. I still don't know who. But yeah, so we did that one you went to was the first one I'd run. But I have one next Wednesday I'm doing for them. I have another one at Pedicolas in June.
So you're going to get to keep working with them.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, man.
I'm going to Louisiana with Jimmy Nelson and Danny McGowl for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pedicolas is just going to be every other month for them.
Dude, that's going to be a strong show. You, Jimmy Nelson, and Danny.
It'll be fun.
That'll be a good show,
I'm really excited.
Man.
Road trip with the boys. It's going to be a good time, dude.
And those two dudes are both characters in different ways.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's going to be a fun group,
100%.
man. Yeah. I don't know if they'll let you talk about this, but I overheard something when you were putting on that show that they gave you like all these guidelines, like down to the music.
Yeah.
Can you talk about any of that, or is that proprietary?
No, I mean, I can talk about it.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, they want the room set a specific way, depending on how the room is like structured. So they have like a tables and chairs format, and then they have like a theater seating format.
Like literally this many rows, this many like.
Not to that extent, but like, how spread out should they be? Like, they don't go into like exact measurements, but like just they have diagrams to show you like, hey, this is the correct way to set up a table and chair show. This is the correct way to set up a theater style show. And it's all correct. They're right in everything that they say.
Well, that was the reason I wanted to ask you, because that show at Pedicolas felt great.
It was awesome.
It felt great. And I love that brewery. They've been on this podcast before.
Yeah.
And the show should not be that good there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Because it's in a back room where it's literally their storage area. I think every comic that night had a joke about the machine making that weird noise or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
So it's got all the makings of a bad show.
Yeah, it's a little high ceilings too.
Yeah,
it's not.
But it worked so well.
Worked.
So there's
that lineup was also pretty solid.
Still, I've seen solid lineups in terrible venues.
That's true.
You know, and the venue can kill it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was kind of wanting to ask you about it. You know, the like kind of their things that they thought were important, because it did make a difference.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were the ones that rented chairs for the show, because they were like, they have all those like picnic style tables. And honestly, next time we do it, I'm going to tell them, like, let's just get the picnic style tables completely out of the room and just do more chairs.
Were there still some in there that night?
They were.
At the back
so they were in the very back.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of like a separation, and you could feel it in the back of the room that the people that were in those tables were not as into the show because there was that separation.
Yeah.
It was like all of y'all clustered in the chairs were having a 10 out of 10 time. The people behind were still having fun, but it was not the same.
Wow. It's odd that, I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But just a seating layout. Changing
a
it that
little
much.
bit of a separation.
Yeah.
It removes some of that intimacy. The people back there were sat a little more spread out.
I know you won't talk shit about it, but I'm like, places that I love, by the way. I love Addison Improv. But their seating layout always drives me crazy.
Oh, because like the L shape, yeah.
I don't even know. Is it an L? Is that what it is?
Kind of.
The room is a L.
It's almost like a music note.
But their tables, like, they'll run these like, it's like from like a 6 top to like a 10 top. Sometimes.
Yeah.
They kind of run them lengthwise down. Yeah. It's very strange.
It is odd.
And you end up sitting with a lot of strangers. And sometimes that's fun. Like, I think when I was like 27, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, please don't sit me next to anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to watch the show. I still love the venue though. I'm not dogging on it that much. But somebody, I wish I could remember the name of the podcast. they sent me I'm going to look at it real quick. Yeah. They sent me a podcast where it was just like comics and managers and club owners talking about what made their club better or worse.
Interesting.
Yeah, here it is. It's called The Business of Comedy with Tom Symes.
Huh.
But it's got like some big names on there and then some people you've never heard of, just giving their opinion on like what makes a club great.
Yeah.
And it was really fascinating.
No,
to listen
that's
to that.
cool.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll send it to you
out.
when I leave here because I'm sure.
Do.
Yeah, that way you don't have to listen to this back just to figure it out. But that was only one show that I've been to yours that you've produced, and I keep hearing from people that you're putting on shows everywhere. Like
I do a lot.
Even Zach Webb was just on here talking about we were talking about open mics that are rough, but
Dusty's,
but they
baby.
love
Dusty's, baby. My little shithole. I love it so much.
Yeah. Well, so I'm assuming the producing came after trying to do comedy, or did you start that first?
No, it came after. It was quick though. I kind of fell into it.
Well, how long have you been into this now altogether with comedy?
I'm gonna hit 4 years on the 17th, so pretty close. Yeah.
So you're just now getting out of kind of the newness.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
It is weird. Like a year ago, I started feeling that of like, I'm going to open mics and I'm the most experienced comic here now, and that's weird. And then you have new comics that are sitting down and asking you questions. You're like, I'm not the right like talk to somebody else. Like
weird because you like
you're always the new guy when you're the new guy, and then all of a sudden you're not anymore. And it's such a shift. And then going from like new guy to like not the new guy anymore to like now the new guys are coming up and like looking to you for advice. And
while they're asking you advice, you know, do you feel like you're funny and worthy of giving advice yet?
It depends on
3 to 4 years in.
So
now?
the answer to that question in short is no. I don't think I'm funny enough to be giving advice. But if they have questions about like how to get booked, like more of like the meat and potatoes of like things, I have no problem doing that. Or like if they're running a show, a lot of comics when they're running a show will come to me and be like, hey, how do you structure your shows? How do you promote? How do you do these things? And I have no problem talking about that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, if it's more just like how to be funny, I'm like, you got to figure that out. Like, I don't know how to write for your voice. Like, I can't even figure out how to write for my own voice. Like, I'm struggling. Like,
what night of the week is the Big Laughs open mic?
Mondays tonight. Yeah.
Tonight? Oh, so I took you away from that?
I wasn't going to go.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
not your fault.
Well, that's a club I've really been trying to get to, man. I just need to get my act together and get out to Fort Worth soon.
Yeah, it's great.
But, you know, I like the idea of a few more clubs being out in Fort Worth anyway.
Yeah.
Just kind of a little healthy competition, you know?
We got another one opening in Irving.
Yeah.
now.
There's a club in Irving?
It's coming.
What's the name of that one?
Punchline.
Somebody just sent me one. Let me see.
Yeah, the Houston Punchline, the Philly Punchline, and we're going to have one in the Toyota Music Pavilion area over in Irving now.
Yeah, somebody just sent me. I want to see if it's the same one. It was, yeah, that's it. Punchline Dallas. So it's going to be in Fort Worth, or you said Irving?
Irving.
Oh,
Toyota Music
little
Pavilion
mid-cities there, huh? That should do pretty well
I think
there.
it'll do well.
Because the only other thing close to that would be Arlington Improv, right?
I mean, Irving, you're probably, what is the closest club to them? It might be Hyenas Dallas.
Okay.
That might be.
Yeah.
I mean, Arlington is probably...
Well, that's not really close, though.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, because you got Irving, you got Grapevine, you got Euless, you got... I mean, Dallas people will still, like, especially West Dallas.
Yeah. What do you think the cap is going to be? Like, how many clubs do you think we can hold? Because DFW is huge.
I think it's going to knock some... I think this one will knock somebody out. I think so.
I'm not going to say it on here. I'll tell you afterwards. But there is one club where I'm like, if you don't get it together, this could be it.
Yeah.
And I think we're probably thinking of the same one.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, like, if it'll give them a run for their money and they'll get their shit together, because they should be one of the premier clubs.
Yep.
And I would like them to be, but they just don't act that way. So we'll see.
Yeah,
the last time I was there, I went to a Friday late show and a brawl broke out.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, now I wonder which one it was.
It's the one you're thinking of.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, anyway.
Jesus. Oh, wait. I think I heard about this, actually.
Probably.
I think I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I won't
same
say
page.
who was on the show because it'll be too easy to piece together. And
Same
it's like,
page.
I got a lot of shit to talk about that club, but I also genuinely would like them to turn it around.
Yeah.
Because I would love for that to be the spot. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah.
Wait, we were talking about producing, and I totally took it in another direction.
It's okay. It's okay. You were talking about, another club opening up in Irving. Why, are you going to try to do some shows over there too?
I'm always gonna.
Always?
I mean, I don't know if I'll run shows. I'm actually going to be pulling back my producing.
I was going to ask, do you worry that you're producing so much that now you might start neglecting the comedy part?
So that was the thing. Like, I've always run shows, but I've always done a good job of like spacing them out. Like, even with my kickback shows, they've never been more than every other month.
Okay.
Because I have a group of people that will come to every one of the shows that I tell them to come to. Mm-hmm. And every other month is about the cap where I can drag them back out to see another show.
So you're getting a lot of the same repeat people coming to comedy shows?
Like 30 to 40 people that kind of shuffle in and out. Like, it won't be all 30 to 40 every show, but consistently 20 of them will be at every show.
What do you think has been the key to making that happen? Because that's kind of a big deal.
They're not coming for me. That's kind of the way I pitch it to them. It's like, hey, I'm kicking the show off. When it's my show, I'm pretty much only doing 10 minutes up top. The show's not about me. The show's about, hey, here's a bunch of comics that I love that I think you'll love. And that's how that's how I'm pitching it to them of like, I want you to come see the rest of the show and I want it to be a great show. And that was kind of what got me into producing was, I mean, especially when I started back 4 years ago, there weren't as many shows, local showcases, things like that. I mean, if you wanted to get booked and you were like newer, kind of like starting to get booked,
so you started the tail end of the pandemic, right?
2021.
Yeah.
May of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like the guys that were producing shows back then were like Zach Sprung, R.I.P.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. Diego Morales was running a lot of stuff back then.
Is he not doing anything anymore?
Not as much.
Okay.
Not as much. And then like Ian Mack and Andrew Barton in Fort Worth were running stuff. And then outside of that, it was hope you work for Hyenas. Hope you work for like DCC wasn't even open yet when I started.
That's right. They were revamping still. Like, I think they had just bought it and they were saying like, hey, coming soon.
Yeah. So it was like there weren't that many shows. And then a lot of like the shows that were being randomly thrown together weren't great shows.
Yeah.
So I had friends coming out to stuff and they'd be like, well, like we really enjoyed seeing you. And the rest of the show sucked. And even I was new, so I sucked. But they were there. They were having fun because they got to see me perform. But it's like I wanted them to be able to come to shows where from start to finish they could have a good time. And the only way to do that was for me to run the show, book it, and put together what I think they would like.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what got me into it. That's what made me want to do it.
What was the first venue for the first show?
Oh my gosh, it was a shithole.
Because that's probably the hardest part for a lot. Because at that point, you would have been about a year and a half in when you're thinking this, probably.
No, not even.
Not even. Okay, so you're in. So
not even a year.
At that point, you've got no credibility to go start booking your own shows, right?
No.
And so, how did you approach a venue to decide? So, okay, I know I'm new, but here's what I want to do.
Like I said, I fell into it. So the first show I ran was in Burleson. And it was a dude who was kind of dabbling in comedy. He knew the owner of this bar in Burleson. It was in like, I mean, it was.
It sounds like a great setup already.
They allowed smoking indoors. Like it was.
But these sound like people who should laugh, though,
like,
right?
Do you know Javorus James?
Yes.
I brought Javo to the first one I booked there. And we pull up in the parking lot, and Javo, his first thing he said when we were still in the car was, are we going to hang out long after this show? I don't think I'm going to be very welcome here.
Oh my gosh.
And he was right to feel that way. But it was this other dude was running it. He was kind of dabbling in comedy. He booked me on his first show there. This was like February of 2022. And I go, and there's comics that are 6 months in doing 20 minutes. There's comics that are 5 years in doing 10 minutes. Like none of it made sense. He's just booking off of the dude that he saw make him laugh one time at an open mic in a 3-minute set. And we talked after the show, and he was like, yeah, I just like really don't know that many people. And that was the thing. I was only like 9 months in, but I was everywhere. Like I was hitting open mics everywhere. I was driving. I remember on Wednesdays, I would go to Mana's mic at Twilight. And then I would go to Bodega in Fort Worth, and then I would book it from Bodega all the way to Dallas Hyenas. And I would do 3 mics in one. I was driving like 100 miles a night.
Jeez.
But that was what you did. That was how it worked. That was what you had to do. So it's like everybody knew me. So I was like, hey, like I'm not in it very long, but I know people. And as long as you're willing to pay, like comics will drive out. They'll do this show. And he was like, okay, well, will you book it for me? I'll handle the venue and promoting and paying everyone. I just need you to book it. I was like, sure. And he was like, and you can host every single one of them. And that's how I started running shows.
Nice. Okay.
So I did that for...
So kind of a seizing the opportunity.
Yeah, and that was a monthly gig from like February through August of that year. And then I was hanging out at Hyenas Fort Worth. Joey Johnson was featuring a weekend. I love Joey. We're super close. So I was just hanging out with him. He killed on a show, and afterwards someone came up to talk to him, and they're like, hey, I know a brewery in Fort Worth that's wanting to do an open mic. Would you be willing to run an open mic? And Joey was like, no, but he will. And so she gave me their info. I went and met with them, and that like nothing ever came from it. And then like 3 months later, they emailed me and they're like, hey, we don't want to do an open mic. We want to run a showcase. Will you run it? And all of a sudden I was running shows at Fort Brewery in Fort Worth.
Wow.
So it's like, it wasn't something I ever like went to a venue and like pitched them the idea. It was kind of like both just kind of fell in my lap, and then I ended up running with it.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. I just always pictured in my mind of like when people are new, they can't get booked anywhere, so they think, oh, I'm gonna produce shows, and that's how I'll get booked.
Sure.
But your situation was a little different.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I was always wanting to do more shows, but I've never. This is gonna sound cocky, like. Like I've always wanted to do more shows, but it's never like I wasn't doing shows.
Yeah.
Like
that's not cocky, because you can be a hustler and get work.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean like I'm the funniest person, or because you're a show producer now, it's like funny. You want funny to be the most important thing.
Yeah.
But you also have to go, is this person going to bail on me last minute? Will 100%. They be on time? Will they be drunk through the whole thing? Will they piss off the crowd? So it's like, you want funny to be
or
the whole...
Or even, do I want to hang out with them for a night?
Right. And so it's like, I can easily see how a lot of times, just if you're consistent and you're trying at these open mics and you're just a decent person to be around who's trying to be funny, that you could probably get a lot of work on the lower end.
Well, and there's so many comedians out there that can do well for 5 minutes.
Right.
Like if you're booking a show and you're just giving out a guest spot, there's so many comics you can give a guest spot to. And that was kind of me when I started, was like, I had some okay jokes. Like I could go up there for 5 minutes, and I was so confident in what I was doing that I could sell through some bullshit. Like I'm making it work.
How much time did I watch you do at Pedicolis? Was that 10
12.
minutes? 12 minutes?
Yeah, everybody did 12 except Zach on that show.
Okay. And how much material do you think you have now that you believe is quality? Like I'm not stretching it. How much time do you think you're at?
Dude, that's an awful question.
I know,
for me,
it's tough.
I'm so like, you'll ask that question.
Because you were just talking about people doing, like...
No. Because you'll ask that question to some comics, and they'll be like, oh, like I got 15. They'll be like a year in, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm 4 years in, and it's like, I have, like, realistically, here's how I say it. This is how I break it. I just was talking with a new comic the other day, because he said he had 12 minutes, and he was less than a year in. And I was like, okay, let's break it down this way. Your 3 favorite comedians of all time are sitting in the back of the room, and you have to perform for them. How many minutes could you do without telling a joke you'd be embarrassed to say in front of them? Mm-hmm. And his answer changed. My answer is probably like 8 minutes to that question.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. How much time can I mean, I've done 25 minutes featuring at Big Laugh. Like, I can do it. It's fine. I've done well.
But you feel like you got your personal 8 minutes of gold.
Yeah.
That you're really proud of.
It's like, I can do those 8 and I'll be fine anywhere.
Yeah. I just love asking that question, because everybody has different...
100%
approaches and the way they feel, like everyone's philosophy on like where you should be at by what year. And so, because it's like you're good friends with Danny.
Yeah,
it's like when he was on here, he had a crazy answer to that. I don't remember what he said his time was.
Well, he's done like over an hour.
But he was like, I'll just go.
Yeah,
forever.
I know, and I've seen it.
And if I hadn't watched him, I would be like, what the fuck does that mean? Yeah. But now that I've gotten to hang out with him a little bit, and I've watched his show several times, it's like, yeah, he's got a lot rattling around up there. I could see him just going.
He's like 6 years in, and he just figured out what his opener is. Like, he blows my mind. It was like a year ago, and I'm like, hey, what's your opener? What's your closer? He's like, I don't know. Like, by the way, I watched your episode with Danny.
Yeah.
And the amount of times Danny was like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. What, am I in like an interview or something?
He cracks me up so much.
But the thing is that that interview, I'd never met him before.
Yeah.
after speaking to him in person, like on and off the mic, it's like I'm 100% sold on Danny.
He's the
now.
best.
I'm 100% in.
Best.
It's like, Danny, you call me if you need something.
Yes.
I will do it. We will make this happen.
He's driving me to the airport tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, it just
he's the best.
The first time I ever saw him had to have been an open mic somewhere, and it's like that's the burden of y'all's act is we're judging you for 5 to 10 seconds before you've ever opened your mouth, and we've already got an opinion about you, right? And it's like as much comedy as I've watched, you'd think I'd get over that by now, but he comes up on stage and I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Stoner burnout dude.
Yeah.
Not gonna be funny, like gonna be, I was so hungry, like, you know. And then he actually comes out with these clever things, and I was like, okay,
such a good writer.
And then I talked to him in person, and it's like, you actually have like a plan for your life.
I know.
Like it's unconventional, but you've got an idea of what you want to do. I totally sized him up the wrong way. And so now that I've got a better idea about him, I feel like there's a lot to discover still. But
he's such a weirdo, but it's so great.
But I'm all in. Like he showed me his car that he's building his bed in and everything to live in and all that shit.
Yeah. He made me go to the car and look at the bed.
The last time I talked to him, he was kicking around the idea of should he be renting a porta potty at the place he's going to park his car to live at.
Oh, did you hear about the houseboat?
He talked briefly, but I don't remember much about it.
There was a while there where he was about to buy a houseboat, and that was his plan, was to live on a houseboat. By the way, it's illegal to live on a houseboat in DFW.
Is it really?
Yes.
Was he going to put it in water, or was it just going to... Okay.
He was going to dock it, and it's illegal to do that.
I didn't know that was illegal. I thought you could live on a houseboat.
Yeah, the Corps of Engineers here don't allow it. And
I grew up on Lake Levon, and I feel like I should have known that.
He wrote a letter to the trying to get them to change the rules. I'm like, Danny, I promise your letter is not going to change their mind.
But that's what I love about him is you look at him, you don't think he's the type of guy who's like, well, hold on, maybe I can reason with him. Let me write up a letter, send it in. I'll go to a court appearance and see if we can talk him into it. But he actually is that way, and
it's so funny.
Anyway, yeah. So, but yeah, that was a fun interview, man.
There's very few people that bring me more joy than Danny McGow. Just when he starts pitching ideas to me, I'm like, dude, what?
I think what it is with guys like him is you've seen the cliche, like you've seen the phonies who are trying to be like him. Yeah. Right? And all the versions of those phonies that have annoyed you where they're putting on this act. Yeah. And so when you do see the original thing, the real deal, it still makes you hesitant because you're like, oh, another one of these fuckers.
By the way, the dude doesn't drink, or like he does drink a little bit, but he doesn't do any drugs. Like that dude is basically sober.
Can I tell you, it took everything in my being to not bring up virginity on that podcast.
I know.
I was like,
we talked about this at Petty Cola's actually.
Oh, we did. I was like, I will not make this episode about that. That was my whole, because I was like, there's more, but at the same time, it's like I have so many questions about this.
But you want a little insight on Danny McGow?
No.
You want a little?
I don't want to. We'll stay away from that. We'll stay away from whatever. We're not going to do that on this show. Anyway, because I like Danny. We'll let him talk about it if he wants to talk about it.
Well, I wasn't going to bring up the virginity. That's kind of virginity adjacent.
No, don't. It feels too dangerous. I'm not doing that. I don't like to edit these shows, so I don't want to have to go back in.
That's fair.
My last guest took 2 restroom breaks, and that already makes me like, I got to go edit something. But anyway.
God damn it, Zach Webb. No, I'm kidding.
No, actually, it's Chandler Cooper. His episode's coming out this week. He's like a R&B pop artist around here.
Tiny bladder.
Yeah, seriously.
Already lost respect for him. I'm kidding.
But you and Danny both got me tuned into Yes Ma'am Band. Is it Yes Ma'am or Yes Ma'am Band?
Yes Ma'am Band.
That is the official name.
Yes.
Okay. I get confused these days
ma'am.
if they have to do that for like social media or whatever.
Yeah.
The guitarist, I can't remember his name. He's
Matt.
coming on. Yeah, I think so.
Matt George.
I guess so. Let me check.
Andrew sent me a message about their lead singer. He was like, I'm not going on because I'll get our band canceled. It's like, okay, cool.
We'll see. We'll see about that. We've had some characters on here. But I'm excited. They're like
You listen to their stuff?
Yeah. Well, after Danny's episode.
It's so good.
Yeah, because he said you guys went to a show.
Yeah.
He loved the band, and we were talking about music. And I'm always really interested where people are getting their new music from. Like, where did you hear about this band?
I was on a date at the Rustic.
Oh, and they were just playing?
They were there, yeah. And it was one of those things, so the music started at like 9:30. I got there for the date at like 8. So we were like hanging out, having a good time, and all of a sudden the music starts, and like mid-conversation, both of us went like, what the fuck? Like, that's incredible. And we like stopped talking for like 10 minutes and just listened to them. And I've been hooked. Like, we that night found them on Apple Music, Spotify. Both of us followed them on Instagram. Like,
yeah, dude, it's DFW has just killer talent all around.
you have to see them live because their music,
I can tell.
Yeah, their music's good. It's great. But then when you see them live and you hear Matt play and you hear Andrew sing, it's
well, it's one of the things I want to talk to them about is why is there not a full-length album yet? I can tell you're holding back for some reason.
Yeah.
You know, and just what is their strategy? All these bands have different strategies now of like, I'm going to release singles, but I noticed most of their music's from like 2022.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, come on.
You know, they just released their
Outlaw, is that what it is?
the Outlaw.
Yeah.
And I think I saw on Instagram they were in the studio this last week. So
that's what I want to hear. I want to hear that they've just been carefully crafting this album for a couple years, and it's about to be just this album of perfection.
I'm going to lose my mind when it comes out.
Well, because I love such a wide variety of music, and that genre of like rock music where it's like what kind of music it is, and you got to list like 14 subgenres.
Yeah,
it's like no, it's just some rock music. It's just like, you like rock music, you like guitars and drums and bass and a singer. That's what it is.
Yeah,
and I feel like everybody feels like they need to have this edge or this thing on them now, and it's like, just write some good songs.
Yeah. Well, because they're rock, but they also have definite like bluesy influence.
But that's about as deep as you would never be like, it's like hardcore melodic math rock.
Yeah,
like it's
for
what?
Sure.
It's for like sure. It's so refreshing to go, it's a rock band. What? Yeah. Like, no, open a beer, have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. And it's originals. It's, it's great. So
yeah, when they're
excited.
Live, they do covers too that are also
especially if you're
amazing.
At the Rustic. I'm sure they're playing for like 3 hours.
Yeah. It was so good, every bit of it. Even when Danny and I saw them around Christmas, they did like Christmas covers. They did their own originals, and then they did some of the normal covers that they did. And it was an amazing show.
Yeah, it's how old are you?
I'm 26.
26. So, other than just randomly going to a show like that, how do you find most of your new music?
Dude, I'm so bad about it now.
Yeah, it's hard though, right?
About it now. It's like,
because you're getting flooded with everything.
But and I got told when I was in college by an ex-girlfriend's mom, because I was like, how do you stop like finding new music? Like, that's all you do. Like, that's what life is, just finding new music. And she was like, you get busy. You don't have time to go search for it anymore. So it either finds you or it doesn't. And it now is like kind of an adult.
Yeah.
Like, it's so true. I don't have.
You're 26.
Time.
This is the first year your brain has been fully developed.
Oh, it's still.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
Oh, that's so depressing. I was hoping it would be so much better.
No, dude, I just had my 40th birthday on May 10th.
Oh yeah, happy birthday!
Thank you.
Yes.
And honestly, man, like, everybody dreads getting out of these different decades, but I genuinely think since I turned 21, it's like every year just feels more fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, when I hit 30, I wasn't like, oh man, my 20s are gone. Like 26, it's like, oh my God, dude, I just went past 25.
I know.
Fuck, 25. What did I do?
Yeah.
From 20 to 25.
Like 30's so close.
30's almost, I'm closer to 30 than 25. Yeah. But genuinely, like, don't you agree that 26 is a lot of fun right now also?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And
it's
like,
a lot. Yeah.
I've never understood those people who are like, oh, it's almost over. It's like, well, you're just fucking boring, I guess.
Or like focusing on the negative of it. Just like have fun, have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Especially like I made a little collage of like the last 10 years, 30 to 40. And it's like, I think that was kind of fun to look back through all the pictures and go like, fuck, man, we did a lot. And we did a lot. And it's like, this is only the stuff I can, this is only the stuff I'm going to share on Instagram. It's not even like the private family moment stuff, It's like, this was, so 26, man, God, you got a lot of fun years ahead of you, dude.
Let's see.
It's going to be good,
let's
man.
See. Let's not jinx that.
No,
okay?
No.
I make a lot of mistakes, Travis.
That's the fun.
Yeah, that's
the fun, right? As long as you're not hurting anybody. It's like, go make those mistakes, man. Yeah. Make some bad decisions.
Like, speaking of Danny, on Wednesday, he and I went out, and I won't say what happened, but I got a phone call Thursday morning from Danny, and the first words out of his mouth was, man, last night got really out of hand. And it's like, yeah, it did. And then it was, why did we do that on a Wednesday?
Yeah, man, because you're living life.
Dude, I have a
You're
job.
living life.
I have a career.
That's okay, man. You know what? You're not gonna ever regret, like, you're never gonna go like, thank God I was so well rested for that Thursday at work.
That's true.
You're never gonna say that, but you will be like, dude, that one Wednesday I went with my buddy Danny, that was fucking fun.
Yeah.
And that's living. As long as you're not getting fired, right?
True.
You're a little hungover, so what? They know who they hired. You're 26. They know a couple of these nights are going to happen.
That's true.
It's like even at my job now, when you see a younger person come in and they look a little fried, you're just like, yeah,
Nice.
fun night. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, get up.
Yeah, I work remote, so it's hard to like actually drag myself out when those days happen. But still,
Have you been working remote since COVID?
I mean, I was in college when COVID happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school at?
TCU.
That's right. I heard about you. I heard that you were like equipment, something with the basketball team.
Oh, yeah. I was head manager for the,
That's a pretty sweet gig, man.
It was pretty cool.
Did you play basketball in high school, I'm guessing?
A little bit. My knees are jacked. I'm the total stereotype. Like, could
So-
have gone D1 if it weren't for my knees.
What was the official title?
Head student manager.
And what were your responsibilities?
Hiring the other student managers, managing the other student managers. We handled like assisting in practice, rebounding. We'd step in and help in drills, running the clock, running shot clock, keeping score in drills, stats in practices. We assisted in film. We would cut up film clips. So you'd take like a 2.5 hour ESPN recording of a game and turn that game, cut out all the fat of the game and turn it into like an hour and 15 minute, or not even. I mean, it's a 40-minute game.
You're talking about the tape that they're watching later on to analyze it all.
Yeah, and you'd clip it up and you'd categorize every play. Like this was when they were on offense. This was when they were on defense. This is baseline out of bounds, sideline out of bounds, after timeouts.
That is some important but mind-numbing work right there.
Yeah. We handled equipment. We handled making sure like all the fridges were stocked for the players.
How many years did you do that?
So I was in college 5 years. I was just a normal student manager my freshman year, and then I got promoted to head manager my sophomore year.
Geez, so you did that for 4 years?
So I quit after my 4th year.
Okay.
1 year of just a normal student manager, 3 years as head manager, and then I was supposed to stick around and help my 5th year, and then I like found comedy and kind of just bailed out. But my original plan was to be a college basketball coach, so that was why I did it.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. That's a big dream to give up on, to change.
I hated it.
What did you hate about it?
It just made me hate basketball. I love basketball, and making it my job, I hated it.
Well, what aspect specifically?
I mean, college basketball's rough. It's really, you kind of have to sell your soul to be good at it. To
be good as a coach? Okay.
Yeah, you kind of have to. And there were some, crappy things that happened to some of the players that I didn't really appreciate, but every school was doing stuff like that. And it was like, it's just kind of part of the job. And, kids getting lied to in recruiting processes. And
yeah, you hear about that all the time. Like, it's like my generation, it's like we had Varsity Blues. Have you seen that movie? Where they're like, give them the injection, do it. And so it's like, you don't have to say anything, obviously, about TCU.
We didn't do that type of stuff.
But you can see how people take it
to
an extreme where it's like, hey, is this in the best interest of the player, of the person?
I can't talk on TCU, but there was another school that I heard a story from another manager where they had a kid graduate and he finished his senior season, is going to the combine for the draft. And the head coach of this school told him that he had to help recruit this kid that was coming in. So the kid who was graduating was like an international player from one of the African countries. And this other kid was from the same country. So he's like, you need to help me recruit. And the kid was like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm focusing on the draft. I'm done here. I don't want to be here anymore. I just want to go. And the coach was like, no, if you don't help us recruit and we don't land this player, I'm blackballing you to the NBA. Because every NBA team, the first thing they do, they call all the assistant coaches, they call the head coaches, they call the athletic trainer, they call their tutor, they call everything. Like, are they showing up to meetings on time?
Right.
Do they show up to training on time? Do they show up to tutoring on time? Because this is a career. Like, you're going to play basketball, but like, if we schedule a meeting, can we rely on you to be there? You're an adult. We're not going to hold your hand. Because in college, we held their hand.
Wow.
So that's like a big part of the process. And if coaches are like, no, that's a bad kid. Like, yeah, he's a good player, but he's a bad kid and he's a problem.
Yeah.
Then you're not going to get drafted. You're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, and you're not going to like go follow up with them and get their side of the story.
Yeah, and that kid didn't get drafted. And he probably would have been like a 2nd round pick if it weren't for that.
That's nuts.
But I mean, that's the stuff that happens. And I was just like, I can't do this. I can't be a part of it. And it's really fun when you're winning. It's so miserable when you're losing.
Yeah. I was only ever competitive on a high school level. No, and that was only because we were in a small school district.
Yeah.
You know, where like you don't try out to be on the team, you're just on the team. And
well, I mean, the problem with college basketball is it's like when you're playing sports, you can say to a kid like who's playing a sport, like, it's just a game. It's not the end of the world. But it's like in college basketball, this is the head coach's livelihood. This is millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. If he's losing, he loses millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much more that goes into it. So when you're losing, everyone's miserable because their livelihood's on the line. Now, don't get me wrong. Like at TCU, Coach Dixon he was coach of the year at Pitt in 2008, I believe. Like, the dude's set forever. He can retire whenever he wants. But assistant coaches that are making $250,000 a year, like, they're living really good. But if they get canned, they got to start over. They got to move down to a mid-major school where they're now going to make half or less than half of what they were making at TCU. Like,
and they're moving their family somewhere.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like there's huge impacts to this.
What's the turnover on a lower level coach like that? Are they usually at organizations or schools for years, or do they get moved around quite a bit?
I think 4 years. 3 to 4 years is about right.
And how long does it take the average person to become a head coach?
A long time. Like you're probably in your 40s. Years? You're probably in your 40s when you get your first head coaching opportunity.
So if
I'll take that back.
So if you what I was trying to get at is, so if you had stayed on that path, you could guarantee that you're probably going to move at least 4 times, right?
Probably more.
More? Okay.
Probably more. Because so the path was head manager, then the next thing you would be is a graduate assistant. So a lot of people don't know, to be a head coach in college basketball, you have to have a graduate degree. So you have to have a master's in something.
Is this what you were studying in?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay.
It can be any master's.
So it wasn't like it was directed towards like sports science or something.
Matter.
You were just
most of them
degree.
have a master's in liberal arts.
Okay,
because it's easy.
Yeah.
But you have to have a master's to be a head coach. So you go from being a student manager or a player to being a graduate assistant. They pay for your grad school. You make like $1,000 a month as a stipend, and you're a assistant coach, and you do all the shit work. And then from there, hopefully, if you're setting yourself up in the right way, you were a student manager at a Power 5 school, like TCU is in the Big 12, that's Power 5, so you're good there. And then you want to go be a GA at another Power 5 school. And then from there, you're trying to get a director of operations job, a director of player development job, or like a low-level assistant coach job at one of the, like, not even mid-majors, but like small schools. Like, we had one of ours my freshman year. He left and went to University of California, Riverside, and was the assistant there. And that's your like entry in it. And then you're just hoping you guys win. That's all you're hoping for. It's like, okay, we just need to finish like top 3 in our conference. And if we do this for a few years, then hopefully a mid-major job opens up. And now I can jump from UC Riverside to like a Middle Tennessee State. Do that jump. And now I'm an assistant at Middle Tennessee State. Hope we win. Hope we keep winning. Hope I can recruit some key players. Then once you're from there, you're jumping to a better mid-major. Now you might be trying to go to like the Atlantic 10 and work for VCU or Dayton, somebody like that. And you work your way up until you then are a head coach, but now you drop back down.
Jeez.
So you're either in the low major or maybe like a bad mid-major, and you get a head coaching opportunity.
What kind of money do you think they're making at that range? Like, are they finally getting paid for all this effort, or is it still like...
It depends.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an assistant coach at like a good mid-major school, you're making 6 figures. You're doing well. Head coach at a small major, you're probably making 6 figures, but it's probably like $150,000. Like,
yeah.
I think there's usually reports that come out every year around the time of the tournament of like how much each head coach makes. Now, I
know the head coaches, it's ridiculous when they get to the higher level. But
yeah, but those small schools, those 16 seed schools, those head coaches are still probably making like $250,000 a year,
which is a great living.
Great living,
yeah,
for sure.
There's a lot of people who'd be like, "Sign me the fuck up."
Yeah, and they're made the tournament, so they're getting some sort of a bonus for doing that. But at the end of the day, like, the moment that job goes away, that's not enough money to live off of from saving up over the 4 years you had that job. Like,
yeah. Well, that was going to be my next question is, okay, you went down that whole path. You're at that mid-level range. You're making the 200, let's say.
Yeah.
if you do get fired from that, how easy is it to go get another job?
Now, I will say this: like
there's only so many teams, right?
Coaching networking is really tight. Like all the coaches know each other. I mean, the Final Four every year is a disaster of every assistant and head coach in college basketball that are there just doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. So they all know each other. They're all connected. And that's the thing. Like the ones that the coaches don't like and like that don't get along with the rest of the crew, they're going to struggle. But the ones that everyone's buddy with, like they'll be fine. And that's the thing. I talked about like you get up to like mid-major and work your way back down, or get up to a Power 5 and work your way back down. The other route is you can just work your way up as an assistant until you're at a Kentucky, a Duke, a Kansas, a Texas, an Arizona, UCLA, and just be like their top assistant coach there. And then somebody will hire you as a head coach, and you don't have to drop his back. You don't have to drop as low again.
Yeah.
So there's different routes, but it's just tough. It's just so tough. And I loved it, but I hated it. And it was one of those things, like, you love it when you're winning, you hate it when you're losing. And when we were losing, I hated it more than I loved it when we were winning. And I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
What's that Denzel movie where he's trying to get his son to commit?
Is it Coach Carter?
No,
that's
it's
Samuel
more,
Jackson.
it's more,
that's not Denzel.
It's more raw. I think it's a hold on, I got it. The plot of it is ridiculous, by the way, but it's a great basketball movie.
Air Bud.
Yeah. By the way, did you know Air Bud plays multiple sports now?
Yes, I did.
My son just went through all the Air Bud movies.
I was old enough to experience when Air Bud played soccer. What about Snowbuds? Do you get to Snowbuds yet?
Maybe we'll do that this weekend. I don't know. He Got Game, released in 1998.
I don't know.
He Got Game.
1998?
Dude, I'm going to send it to you.
That was the year I was born.
Okay. I'm going to send it to you because I just watched it this year. And it's pretty raw. So the storyline is...
Wait, is He Got Game? Is that the one that Ray Allen's in?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
I haven't seen it, but I know of it. Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. And I bet with your previous work history with TCU and just college basketball in general, it'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Because he's getting basically, Ray Allen's his son, but Denzel Washington is in prison. I don't want to ruin it, but he's in prison and it's not good. But his son, who is, I guess, Ray Allen, Jesus, is just this incredible,
ridiculous name.
Yeah.
Jesus Shuttlesworth.
He explains it in the movie. Okay.
It's a ridiculous name. I don't care if they explain it.
He explains it in the movie. But anyhow, the premise is Denzel's in jail. His son's a phenomenal high school player, like best in the country. Every school wants him, and then the agents are trying to convince him to go pro. And I can't remember what state they're in, but the governor really wants him to come play at their college. So he's going to let Denzel out of prison for like 10 days or something to go convince his son to join the team. And if he does that, he'll get him out of prison.
Interesting.
Totally realistic plot
That's
line
a great
to start
plot
with. But other than that little ridiculous plot line, it's pretty good. And like they're showing like the overwhelming nature of this guy being kind of, courted by all these schools and by the NBA, but he's also from this kind of like rougher upbringing, and he doesn't know what the good choice is going to be. He's got like a little sister. Both his parents are out of the picture, and like schools are offering him money so he can like pay rent and things, and it's getting a little sketchy. And then he's going to schools, and it's like, they show him the basketball stuff, but then they also take him like the parties, show him the girls.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it was this very kind of raw look at that. That was I thought the way they filmed it and did everything was really good.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
you might like the movie.
The governor thing, being involved in like getting someone out of jail, is a little far stretch, but it's not that far stretch for a governor to get involved in college athletics.
Yeah,
like that's how Baylor ended up in the Big 12 originally, right?
I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
Please tell me this story.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't really follow this stuff.
Oh well, you're missing out, dude. So there was the Big 8. And then there was the Southwest Conference. Mm-hmm. The Southwest Conference was like all the Texas schools plus Arkansas.
Okay.
And that was Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Houston, Rice, TCU, Baylor, SMU. We're all in the Southwest Conference. The Southwest Conference and the Big 8 merged. The Big 8 was like Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Kansas State, Iowa State, Nebraska, Colorado, Missouri. And so they merge. Only 12 schools are getting in. And they knew like the big eight schools are staying, but the Southwest is kind of blowing up because Arkansas is going to the SEC. So not every school is going to get in. And obviously a lot of the Texas schools weren't as big. When you're looking at Rice, you're looking at SMU. So they knew Texas A&M was getting in. They knew Texas was getting in. They knew Texas Tech was getting in. And there was going to be a fourth school. And it was between TCU, SMU, and Baylor. The governor of Texas at the time was a Baylor grad. Baylor got in. Baylor got in.
Some things change. Some things stay the same.
So TCU had to go to the Mountain West. I think they were in Conference USA, then the Mountain West. And then finally when the Big 12 and, like A&M left and went to the SEC, Mizzou left and went to the SEC, Colorado went to the Pac-12, Nebraska went to the Big 10. Mm-hmm. And then they needed to add teams, so TCU got back in, and that was when West Virginia joined the Big 12 too.
So were you going to school there when the football national championship went on?
That was the year after I graduated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the saddest.
I was just curious what the athletic vibe, even in basketball, would be like.
Well, that was when
you come back.
Well, that was so when we went to the national championship in football, we were also good at basketball.
Right.
So that was when Mike Miles, I worked with Mike. I love Mike. Mike was our best player on the basketball team, and Mike was on Fox Sports, before one of our football games that year. And they were like, how does it feel to be like, you're a football school, but your basketball team's great too? And he was like, we're not a football school, we're an everything school. And that like went everywhere. Now we're a neither school now.
It's wild how fast things change though, right?
Well, it's just like TCU's like has the history for football. We don't really have the history for basketball, but we have a coach. He's already in the Hall of Fame. So like there's going to be up years, there's going to be down years. I mean, we're the second smallest Power 5 school in the country. Mm-hmm. The only one that's smaller is Wake Forest. There's only 8,000 undergrad kids at TCU. I think it's like 11,000 if you include graduate students. It's a small school.
Right.
So like we have money because we're a private school. We don't have SMU money, but we have money.
Yeah, but you're on the way.
Yeah, we're on the way. We're close. Trust me, my student loans, I feel it.
SMU didn't start that way either, man. They built it up.
So it's so funny to me because SMU obviously had a great football year last year. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, can you believe SMU's good? I'm like, yeah, I can believe they're good. They were so good at paying players that they got the death penalty for it. And now it's legal to pay players. And you're surprised that they're good at football now?
Yeah. We live in East Dallas, and you know where like Mockingbird Station is and SMU. Mm-hmm. And the way I drive to work, it's like I'll cut through Highland Park.
Yeah.
And I'm driving by, and like they just built this whole new thing around the football field where it's like, I don't remember what it's. I feel like it's got some fancy name, like the such and such lounge.
I'm sure
or so, all that bullshit. But you'll drive by at night, and there's like all these like multicolored lights going off inside. Nobody's even there.
God, I hate them so much. I hate it.
I grew up as a very like we always had food and shelter, but we were poor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. We weren't like struggling, but we didn't have money. And I grew up in a little small white trash town. So.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I grew up in the suburbs. Like I didn't struggle. But
saying that just to say that like.
I grew up in Keller, dude.
Yeah. But so you know what I mean? It's like there's always that like the more blue collar, the more close to broke you are, no matter who you are, right?
Yeah.
And that's plenty of suburb people who are just middle class, right?
Yeah.
It's like anytime you see areas like that, it's like like inherently you're just like, fuck them.
Oh, dude.
Even before you know a thing about like I definitely am that way towards SMU, and I always have been.
Yeah.
Now that we live in the area, it's like. It's like, well, it means it's nice. It's nice.
I only hate them because of TCU. That's our biggest rival, them and Baylor. I hate both of them.
Mine's petty. It's just that, like, when you don't have a lot of money, you don't like wealthy people.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's just
But TCU also fits the wealthy category.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But you've bridged it. You're now part of them.
Well, no, we're not, though. Because
no, I mean, you and TCU specifically.
Oh, yeah. No, we played basketball. Obviously, it's rivalries, so we would play each other. And we had a basketball game at SMU, and I'll never forget. My job during games, I had to go to the scorer's table and get the stat sheets. They would print off stat sheets, and I would give them to the coaches. I'd walk to the scorer's table. The student section's right behind that table. And we had these dumb polos that Nike gave out that year. A lot of Nike schools got them, and they were clip-ons instead of like they snapped instead of, and it was like a metallic snap, but the snap had weight to it. So if you didn't button the top button, it just like flopped down. It looked ridiculous. So we would all button all the way up. Yeah. And it was like the worst case scenario because they just looked stupid either way.
Yeah.
But it just looked slightly less bad to just button it all the way up.
You're like, fuck it, I'll just wear a tie with the polo, I guess.
Yeah. The SMU kids behind the behind the scorers table literally had $100 bills out and were like, we will give you this money if you unbutton your top button. And I'm like, this is not real. This isn't real life. This isn't the real world.
Yeah.
Like, a button and you're like, here's $100. I was willing to take it, but I couldn't because I'm on ESPN. Like I can't do it.
Oh, that was your ticket though, man. Like if ESPN showed you taking 100 from
I know. Oh, dude, we were in the NIT. We didn't make the tournament my sophomore year. We were in the NIT and we made it to the Final Four of the NIT, which is at Madison Square Garden in New York. I had the chancellor of TCU. I'll say it. He was drunk. He was hammered. And we're playing Texas, who we'd already played 3 times that year because they're in the Big 12 at the time. And we're playing them in the semifinals, and we're losing. And we'd beat them 3 times that year. And this is the 4th game. It's like, okay, we've already beat them 3 times. You're going to drop one eventually if you keep playing. And we were losing that game. The chancellor of the school is behind the scorer's table telling me to punch a student manager for Texas in the face. And I'm like, free tuition? He's like, yeah, free tuition. I'm like... I went back to my boss. I'm like, I know I'll get fired if I do this, but he's offering free tuition. He was like, do it. And I was like, if he wasn't hammered right now, I would run over there and clock him. Yeah. But I also knew the guy. I was like, I don't want to hit him in the face.
You're like, you're taking your clipboard. You're like, I just need you to put it in writing real quick.
Yeah,
because
seriously,
my boss is over here telling me, don't be a bitch.
Yeah, they're all telling me to do it.
Go
like,
get that money.
I'm like, we're gonna get a technical. We're already losing this game. Like, I'm gonna affect the game. Like,
oh my god. But you know, it was a missed opportunity because after you punch that guy, after the game, you can take him out for a beer and explain everything. He'd be like, well, you had to. He would have been on your side too.
I know. It's one of my biggest regrets in my life. I should have punched that dude in the face.
Yeah, there's not a lot of moments where I'm like, you definitely should have hit him.
Yeah.
But that seems like
a great one.
Yeah.
When you're paying $60,000 a year to go to a school.
Wow,
like,
man.
Yeah, for $60,000 a year, I will hit somebody.
What made you decide TCU when you were coming out of high school?
It's for basketball. It was 100% for basketball. I grew up with a kid who he got a full ride to TCU to play basketball. And I knew that I could use that connection to get in with the team and start working my way up. So I was going to go wherever he went. I thought he was going to go to SMU. So I was like, I guess I'm going to SMU. And then he switched last minute because the head coach at SMU got fired.
Were y'all seniors at the same time? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we grew up together we played sports together from like 3rd grade on. Excuse me.
So you knew, were y'all playing, y'all were playing senior year high school together?
I didn't play senior year.
Okay.
No, so I played through my sophomore year, and then I just like couldn't keep up anymore. Like my knees were falling apart. I was taking like...
Why are your knees so bad?
Genetics. My dad just had knee replacement surgery at 56 years old. Like, and my grandma had arthritis in both of her knees.
What are you doing about it?
I work out.
I'm going to sound like such a tool right now, but...
I've done PRP.
Okay. Have you ever listened to the Joe Rogan episodes where they talk about knees over toes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do some of that stuff.
Yeah. Any luck with that?
My knees aren't as bad as they used to be. I don't back squat. This is getting this is a Joe Rogan podcast right now.
Well, no. The reason I ask, I just turned 40.
Yeah.
I run a lot, even though it doesn't look like
so
it.
Your knees are destroyed.
They're not though. They're not. And I don't think that I have gifted knees or anything. But I am curious when other people say their knees are killing them.
It'd be questionable as a man if you were like, I have really gifted knees.
Hey,
my knees are actually the best.
You don't become the number 1 comedy and music combination podcast in Dallas, Texas by not having good knees, my friend.
That's true. Why do y'all think I agreed to do this show?
Exactly. No, but that blows my mind that you're 26 and you feel like you have bad knees already.
Oh, dude, they've been terrible like since I was 13.
Really? Was there like a moment where you're just like, these things suck, or like what was there something that happened? Or
it's one of those things I look back on and I'm like, I'm not sure the exact moment. I had.
Well, how tall are you, first of all?
I'm 6'4".
6'4", but that's not like.
It's not crazy.
That's not where you would have like weird legs, you know? And
no.
Yeah.
So I was also a kid that grew up like going from basketball season to football season to basketball season to football season, like no breaks, just going. And I remember I had a football season where I had like really bad Achilles tendonitis. I was running different just to try to stay off of my Achilles and like try to lessen the pain as much as possible, because it's all different now just with the research that's out and how knowledgeable like just the average person is on recovery and nutrition and like even just exercise science. But like I was just in pain and my parents would be like, suck it up, you have practice, go. And I think the knee pain came slightly after that. And I think it was probably because I was running different. I didn't have great shoes. I was always buying like the coolest cleats, not the ones that were the most supportive. I was always buying the coolest basketball shoes, not the ones that were the most supportive. And then it was just go, always. So I think that always played an impact. And then I got like chondromalacia in both my knees, which isn't like a long-term thing, but it basically means like your cartilage gets damaged and it heals back rough instead of smooth. So it just creates more friction, and that goes away, but the pain's never gone away. So I think I just did so much damage throughout my teenage years that it's just like I know I have a bone spur in one of my knees right now. I've done PRP for it, which is just platelet-rich plasma. Yeah.
Did you feel like anything?
Yes, huge difference.
With PRP?
Huge difference. But it's temporary. It doesn't last forever. It lasts a couple years.
I'm assuming like insurance doesn't cover that probably.
No, it's like $1,500.
Yeah, why would they cover it even though it makes you feel better?
I know. I know.
Fucking insurance. Again, I'm not supporting murder. You definitely shouldn't murder people, but there's a lot of people who are not upset with Luigi.
I know.
And it's things like this. It's like there's something that costs $1,500 and that's what they're charging you. An insurance company could negotiate a better rate on that if they agreed to do it.
Well, and I think
you could do it like once every. How long did it last you when you had it?
I still feel better right now, and it's been probably about a year and a half.
So we could say that every 2 years you could get that.
Yeah, I mean, my pain went from like a 7.5.
And I'm saying that as not a doctor, obviously. Maybe a doctor's like, no, we can't do it every 2 years, but I don't know.
Yeah, my pain went from like a 7 to 8 out of 10 to like 4 out of 10.
Really?
And it still hurts, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
But I also changed how I work out now. Like, I don't back squat anymore. Like, I should be, but just like the instability and the pain of it, I just don't. So I do like trap bar, hex bar squats instead, because I don't have to get as deep into those.
When you were younger, were you keeping your legs stronger, or were you lifting all up? Do you think that's part of it?
I didn't start lifting at all until like 3 years ago.
Do you think that maybe is some of it, that when you're young, you're doing all this activity with your lower legs, but you're not building muscle around it?
For sure, 100%. Okay. That definitely played a factor. I didn't lift at all, but it was also like up until my sophomore year of high school, which was last year I played, that was the only year that my coaches ever like focused on lifting weights, because I stopped playing football and just focused on basketball. Most basketball coaches don't care about you lifting. They should.
Yeah, knowing what we know now. It's like
they should.
Muscle makes you a beast out there.
100%.
Yeah.
And also, like, throughout a basketball season, you're going to lose muscle because basketball is such a like cardio, running intensive sport. And it's like when you're doing those things, your muscle mass decreases. So it's like you need to build up in the off season. So by the end of the season, you're not shriveled down.
Yeah.
And I never did any of that, dude.
Yeah.
It was just go.
Yeah, it's wild how far it's come along. My son's 5, so he's playing sports now.
What's he playing?
We've got him doing soccer, basketball.
Awesome.
Yeah. And, I don't know what he's going to take to, but it's like I just want him to be...
You got him doing any individual sports yet?
So no, not yet. I I don't know when to do that, when to start him into it. I'm real conflicted. Most of it's just time.
Yeah.
Like, can we get him to the practice? You know?
Oh, yeah.
But he does this weird thing. Like when I really get into running, I just started my marathon training again today before this interview.
Awesome.
But so when I'm
that explains the smell. No, I'm kidding.
when I'm into running, he'll like last year he would come like run around the block with me before I really got going.
Yeah.
And he insists on running with his shirt off, which is hilarious because
yeah.
he saw some dudes in my neighborhood running with their shirt off.
He's gonna be a bro. I love it.
I want him to be good at sports. Not good. I don't care if he's good or bad. I just want him to have that competitive urge that can translate to whatever else in life.
Yeah, I think
it's like,
important.
If you work hard, you can achieve things.
Yeah.
And then more importantly, I want him to lose a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey,
you need to feel that.
you need to know that this was a loss and that person worked harder than you, or sometimes you worked just as hard and you lose.
Yeah, I've never gotten away from that.
You know, and it's like, that's a good feeling. So he's right now he's on a soccer team that's not very good, and I'm actually coaching it, so you can blame me. But
you need recruiting help? You can go scope out.
We patched a little team together because there wasn't going to be a team, and so one of the moms of the kids got like these kids together. So there's some people who've never played sports. Some of them are just very unmotivated and they're not having a great time. But they're at the games. They're doing what's expected. But I think that's making him less motivated because they're not as.
It makes it harder,
right? They're not as into it. So I don't think he's as into it. Where the team he was on last year, they were really into it.
Yeah.
So he was like itching to go in and play. But you know, I'm just starting to think about that now. It's like, what age can I get him lifting weights? Because I was thinking, you know, if I can build that now.
Well, they used to say like you don't want to have them lifting because it affects like their growth, but that's apparently not true anymore. They say that's not real.
It scares me though because it feels like the science changes every couple of years.
Yeah,
I
mean, I think the best move is just body weight. Body weight stuff is probably the best move until you get to that like pre-pubescent, like around there, and then start adding weight.
Well, you know, it's like if you can get athletic in high school and you can maintain, then you don't become one of these obese adults.
Sure. 100%.
You know what I mean? Like it's so much easier to stay fit.
Well, as your muscle mass increases, your caloric needs at rest increase.
Yeah.
This is really turning into the Joe Rogan experience.
Sorry. No, I mean, but you know, it's
I'm
like,
cool with it. I can go full
But you
bro.
have a real experience at the collegiate level seeing this stuff. So it's interesting to get your take on that, you know?
It's not even collegiate. It's just in life. Like,
yeah.
Once you have muscle,
but
it's harder to lose it than it is to build. It's harder to knock down the building than it is to build it from scratch.
Well, you can say it's not collegiate, but like your experience, how many people in this country have that experience? It's not that many.
True.
It's not that many. And you were around not only the TCU team, but like when you're at these games, it's like you're around high-level athletes for 4 years.
I was roommates with an NBA player today.
There you go. So, you know, I mean, that's the closest I got to even that was we had a player on our high school team who was pretty good.
Yeah.
But he was that classic example of like he's talented and has lots of potential, but he's also kind of he makes
screw up.
Yeah, he makes a lot of bad choices. He's not motivated.
We had those.
You know that this is a story as old as time, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my roommate was the kid that was like a 0-star recruit who was the hardest worker in the room, and now he's the starting shooting guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's killing it. And we had top-level recruits who did not care, didn't want to work, and those dudes are either overseas or not playing anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, that kid's dad, like I have to thank him because he gave me a lot of good life lessons because he put us in these summer leagues.
Oh yeah,
so we were like a 2A, 3A school. My senior year we switched to 3A. So my junior year he threw us into these summer leagues, and was it junior year? I guess so, yeah. And I think we did 2 summers.
Okay.
But anyway, I don't even remember.
Oh, you talked to Cody about this.
Yes.
You guys had to play like the good schools.
Yeah, the one that I remember, the summer
I
league.
listen to your podcast every once in a while.
Well, thank you. You're the one. No, one of the summer teams was called Team Texas. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have.
Okay, so these are like they're pretty good.
They're good. Yeah.
And most of these kids have like college commitments, and they're going somewhere. Because we would have talks before these games of like, hey, you know, this isn't the team that we're going to accidentally cause an injury because we're being stupid and playing. It's like if they're going hard for something, they're going to go by you, okay?
Yeah.
Because we're not going to ruin someone's life here.
Yes.
For our, we won 3A district champs, by the way. But
hell yeah.
But anyway,
I love that.
But it was such a lesson because I'm probably exaggerating in my mind, but it felt like we would lose these games like 110-30. because they're just so much better.
Oh, yeah.
And they we went in there, and we think we're athletes,
Yeah.
and then you look at them and just we're the same age, but you look like a fucking grown man right
Yeah.
now. And it was just just seeing this athletic specimen, who's devoted their, I thought I worked hard. And then you're like, oh my God, you work so hard.
Yeah. Dude. Yes.
And then just, the amount of times I got dunked on where that was a good experience to be humbled like that.
Was that me? I think that was
I don't know.
I should have muted.
Oh, it's all good.
I apologize.
I barely heard it, but
I heard it. Yep, that was me. My bad.
the
Fucking Kyle Roberts, stop texting me.
But what was great is we were just getting humiliated in these summer leagues.
Yeah.
Then we go back to our small little farm town, and it's each team we play would have one guy who could dunk.
Yeah.
And so he's going into his warm up thinking he's lighting up the crowd, and we're getting all, and it's
I'm not scared.
It's
of that
dude,
anymore.
I got dunked on 8 times in one game. What the fuck is that? I'm not worried about that.
We played a team where all 5 of them could do that.
Exactly.
It's we can double you, actually. We can just keep you from getting in the paint, and it'll be totally fine.
I wish I could remember the name, but there was somebody who went to UT and played point guard there. I graduated high school in 2003, so it would have been around the early mid 2000s. Whoever that was,
around the Kevin Durant years.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Was it DJ Augustine's backup?
I don't know. This person was going to UT and they were playing and they were good. And I just remember we were working on taking charges. When these people drive, let's take a charge, right?
And you get totally dunked on while you're charging.
Sure, yeah. But that was our thing is figure out how to do that because you can't block this guy.
Yeah.
And we're going to take that back to our hometown and it's going to crush.
Yeah.
And it did. But I just remember one of our better players, he's in the lane and the summer league coach is like, take the charge.
Yeah.
And this dude just goes to launch for the dunk and everyone in the crowd just hears our guy go, fuck that. And he just takes a side step.
Yeah. Let's save our dignity real quick. 100%.
And it was just, all those moments though of okay, we've been dunked on enough. We know we know.
You want to hear something cool? I've never talked about this on a podcast.
Oh, thank you.
So this is back to my college basketball days. Okay. So there's a thing called manager games.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay. So this is a real thing. There's a ranking system. There's a Twitter account that runs, I guess it's X now, but that runs all of this. Mm-hmm. So the day before the actual game between 2 schools, the managers and graduate assistants will meet at the arena and play a game. You have to understand, these games are so competitive because a lot of the graduate assistants are former D1 players. So every school plays these games. And you want to talk about dudes getting dunked on because you have the student managers, which are kids like I'm 6'4". A lot of the student managers were kids that were 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", normal people that played high school basketball at a school with a graduating class of 200 kids, nothing crazy, right? Mm-hmm. But they can play a little bit, and it was the most competitive thing. So Duke and North Carolina obviously hate each other, right? Mm-hmm. They're not allowed to play manager games anymore because they got into a fight the night before the game, 10 years ago. And dude showed up to the game with black eyes.
Oh my God.
You're on ESPN. If you're Duke and North Carolina are playing, that's a Saturday primetime game or a Monday night Big Monday game. Mm-hmm. The number 1 game on TV that night. And you have managers sitting behind Coach K and Coach Williams for UNC and Duke with black eyes, bruises. It's just destroyed because of how intense. There's a national ranking system. If you finish top 4, you get to go to the actual Final Four and play for the Manager Games National Championship.
This is a known thing?
No, it's very secretive, actually. But it's a real thing.
Honestly, I would prefer to watch that game over
it's amazing.
NBA.
Oh, it's amazing. My dad would come to him and watch because we had a dude who was a starting player for 4 years at Pitt, which is a good basketball school. That dude, Chris Jones is his name. He could play. The only reason he wasn't playing by the time he was a graduate assistant was because he just didn't want to anymore and he wanted to have fun. Mm-hmm. But that dude could have been in Spain. That dude could have been in Australia. He could have been in China. He could have been in any of the secondary leagues. They're the top secondary leagues. He could have been in any of them. and been one of the best players there. I mean, we went undefeated like every year he was at TCU.
Wow.
Because he was so good. But I mean, we would play Florida, and they would have former D1 players. We played SMU; they would have former D1 players. Texas A&M, like every one of these, and it's so intense because you got like 3 graduate assistants, and then you got like 10 managers.
Yeah,
and it is the 3 graduate assistants on each team playing each other, and the managers are just there to play defense, get rebounds, and shoot open threes. That's it. But dude, talk about fun times.
Yeah,
those
man.
games, dude.
Well, dude, I just right now because I'm coaching those Little League soccer games, I can't get out there. But I'm so amped about those Saturday Cowabunga pickup games.
I know. I haven't been in a while.
I've only been to one, and it's like, God, I loved it.
They're so fun.
Yeah, but I realized like I'm really out of shape.
Oh, dude.
And I thought I was in shape.
You're telling me.
I thought I was in shape though because I'm running all the time.
Marathons. I lift weights and don't do any cardio.
The running the marathon part somehow does not translate to basketball cardio.
No, it's different.
Totally different. And I was like gassed, and
it's
I'm
like HIIT. It's high intensity. Yeah, it's interval.
And then just like there was like I had one good drive. I was really psyched about it. And then as soon as it goes in, and I'm landing on that left foot, you feel just like a little something in that ankle, and you're like, yeah, this is the last game today. Okay, this is all we're doing.
Yeah.
And so, but it's reshaped everything. Like part of my marathon training plan now is Saturday Cowabunga games.
Oh, that's great.
So as soon as the soccer league's over, I'm back out there whenever my wife will let me get out there, and because I was like, well, clearly here's a part of the cardio I'm missing.
Yeah.
And this is going to translate to my running. Like
100%.
This is going to be my training on Saturday.
It's that stop, go, stop, go, stop, go.
And then I forgot. I don't know. So you said you played up to your junior year in high school, your sophomore
I played
year?
through my halfway through my sophomore year, and I stopped.
Have you played much pickup since then?
I just Cowabunga stuff.
So you know what I mean? It's like
the manager games in college.
Yeah. But I forgot what it was like to have that rushed feeling of pulling off, a shot.
That was the best.
Because, it's like when my son kind of started playing, it's like we're going to the YMCA, I'm like picking up a ball. I'm like, I can still shoot a little bit,
Yeah.
And it's like, I can make a lot of shots when I'm not running and no one's guarding me.
Yeah.
But I forgot what it was like where it's like, fuck, you got to pull up now.
Yeah.
And then so it was so much fun, but it was also so humbling and embarrassing because it's like, okay, that like hit the backboard wide. That was an air ball.
Yeah.
Fuck. I'm so bad at this now. And you're like, I swear I played. And but then by the third game, it's like some stuff kind of dialed in. I was like, okay.
See, I'm the total I'm in such bad shape when I play. My first game, it's like I'm on point. I'm a good shooter. That was my thing. I was the white kid on the AAU team that sat in the corner and shot threes, and that was my job.
Yeah.
I wasn't there to play defense. I wasn't there to do anything else. I was going in the game to hit open threes. So I'm a good shooter. So when I get out with them, first game, I saw my legs under me.
Okay.
I'm hitting step back, fadeaways, like whatever.
Yeah, that PRP's kicking in.
Oh, it's feeling good. Yeah. And then the moment I start hitting a few threes, that's setting up the rest of my game, which is pump fake drives. By game 3, I'm exhausted. I don't have my legs anymore. I'm missing everything short. I can't drive anymore because I'm missing everything, so they sag off of me. It ruins the whole thing for me. Yeah. I'm the opposite.
Well, and a couple of those fuckers, man, they're supposed to be lazy, unathletic comics. And
dude, when Sean Lee is out there, screw Sean Lee, that freaking D1 football player.
I haven't played against him. But no, even somebody like Vinny Corrales who's just scrambling the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, God, dude, you're just running me around.
Have you played with Danny?
No.
He doesn't stop moving.
Really?
It's so frustrating.
Fucking weird. No,
because he's another runner.
Oh, that's right.
And he just runs.
Runs.
He just circles, and you just got to chase him, and it's so annoying.
I just can't picture him in anything other than flip flops. So just that,
I know,
But no, it was. I mean, I had a good time. I was good at defense in high school. That was my specialty. So like, whoever you were, that's who I'm with for the whole game.
Yeah.
So we're gonna run like a loose zone, but I'm on you.
Yep.
And I loved it. So it's like the first 2 games. It's like the first game was just bad. I was like, oh my god,
knocking off the rust.
Yeah. The second game though, it's like, okay, that's when I'm getting a couple steals.
Yeah.
You're throwing these sloppy passes. I remember it's coming back now. I can take this from you. In the second game, it's like the other thing was like, okay, I'm not a great shooter. So if I'm going to be good at defense, I need to figure out at least like I need to set some pick and rolls. I need to have some good passes. I need to know how to find cuts, right?
Yeah.
And so I was working on a lot of that. I'm trying to throw back in my no looks, Yeah. But I've never played with them. So they're like, they're starting a cut and I'm throwing a ball and they're stopping. It just
Don't even get me started on that shit with him. I love playing with him, but as someone that knows how to play basketball and like knows spacing and knows when you should and shouldn't cut, the amount of times that I've had the ball and started driving and one of these assholes cuts right in front of me and brings their defender, and now I'm double teamed. And I'm sitting there like, keep it cool. This is a pickup game. We're just here to have fun and work out. Like, that's it. But I'm so competitive that I've screamed at some of these guys, like, get the fuck out of my way. Like, what are you doing?
You never make it in the manager's game.
No,
you never
they
would.
wouldn't. They never would. I'm like, my number one job was spacing. Stay out of the way, Jacob. That was what they told me.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, God damn it.
It's still in there, that fire.
I'm
there.
so competitive. I mean, dude, I do stand up, which is as much as some people don't want to admit that stand up is so competitive. I work in sales, which is so freaking competitive. And like, that's never leaving me.
Yeah, it is interesting that you decided like to leave that that basketball life and I understand why, but it's like there's a path. And so you're like, well, that just seems like a path I don't want to take. I don't really blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, but comedy seems easier.
No, I didn't think it was easier, but that's the thing. Like, my whole thing is like, do you hate the bad days more than you love the good days? And it's like, I love the good days in comedy way more than I hate the bad days. Don't get me wrong. The bad days suck. But I also like the extremes. Like, I'm a dude that I don't want to live in the middle. Like, I want to live in the great and the terrible. I'm okay with living in the terrible as long as I get the great too. I've never been interested in living in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
I hear you, man. My wife gets frustrated about that because she's like, she doesn't understand why I always want to have, well, she does now. We've known each other so long, she gets it. But originally, it's like, why do you always want to do something else, something new? And it's like, I don't know. It's just,
I need a chase.
Life's worth living, right? Like, I don't know what, it's like working with Lawrence Rosales on his special. It's like, I'd kind of wanted to record some specials. When he approached me and said he was thinking about one, I was like, oh my God, here it is. The universe is bringing us together. This is going to work. And,
which, by the way, it was shot incredibly.
Oh, thank you.
You did a great job.
Well, she was like, do you know what you're doing with this? And I was like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's, you just bury yourself into YouTube videos and Reddit thing, and just like, okay, I know what I like to see,
which is another.
I just need to know how to translate that. And it's like, is there? It's not like I'm sitting here going like it's the perfect special, but I was very happy with it.
It's great. You should be.
And the amount I learned of like, okay, when we do this again, I've got an idea now of what I'd like to change, what I'd like to do, and
that's another lesson in life of just like, how much of this is just caring enough to do the work and learn and figure it out? Because there's so many people that do things and they just half-ass it, get through it, do just good enough. But it's like, with that special, you could tell like Lawrence cared and you cared.
Dude, Lawrence was on another level because
he's an intense person, so that makes sense.
I don't know how well you know him, but
like decently, not great.
And you know him now that he's kind of cleaned up his act.
Yes, I was after the whole,
So I didn't really know him when he was going through his roughest points.
Yeah.
He was like an acquaintance. Like, he'd been on the podcast, and if I saw him, we'd say hi, but I don't really know him.
Yeah.
And even now, it's like there's still layers to him that I'm like, fuck, dude, what was that? I didn't know that about you. Like, but he's an intense guy, and at the point where we were talking about recording something, I knew he had all these issues with drug abuse, with meth. I knew he had family issues.
Yeah.
And so the whole time where I'm like prepping this stuff, my own personal fears, and I've told him all this. That's the only reason I'm airing it out here. But my own personal fears was like, is he going to take this seriously? How serious is he going to take this?
Yeah, for sure.
Because, I'm investing time and money, and he's got a history of fucking up.
Yeah.
And that was the brutal, and it's like, I believe in him. I think he's turned a corner, but he's got a history. And like my upbringing, it's like I had lots of friends like Lawrence when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So I've seen them backpedal, and you're just waiting. You're waiting.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, I would text him or something. You'd be like, hey, man, what's going on? And he'd be like, oh, I'm just at the gym.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And then he was talking about, he's doing these sets here. He's doing those sets here. And then I see him, and he's like, he's kind of getting cut up. And I knew Lawrence when he was a little thicker. He had some weight on him.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, it's like over the course of a couple weeks, because we kind of planned that, I think, in a couple months. It was pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount that he was focused on like getting into physical shape before he was being filmed, that's what was kind of like alleviating my concerns.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he'd be like, oh, yeah, so-and-so let me jump on this mic. I did these guest spots and blah, working on this. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
And it's like seeing a comic who you know has this history of screwing up, like lock in like that.
Yeah.
Get that intensity of like, no, this is important to me.
Channel the same energy that led to the bad stuff into the good stuff.
And he did, man. And I think part of it, too, is now that he has a kid, I think he really
that does it. Yeah.
Yeah,
From what I've heard, I don't have a kid. But.
Well, and like I'm not putting words in his mouth. It's not anything he said, but it definitely feels like he wants to break that cycle. Like he doesn't want his kid to be like a fatherless kid, or a kid with a loser father. Like he wants to really break that chain,
which is great.
Yeah, and it's like fuck yeah. And then now that he's recorded and he's working on another one.
Yeah.
And I was like, hell yeah. So,
yeah, I did a show with him around like maybe a month or two after he recorded the special, and it was cool just seeing him go into it. Like, yeah, we're working on stuff. Like, we're trying to figure this out. And he was doing like a 30-minute set, and he was just like, we're gonna figure this out.
He's one. It's hard. I've had a few conversations with him, but it's hard to tell somebody at his level. You know, you're 6 years in. He's
4 years in.
I'm sorry, 4 years in. I was thinking y'all have 6 years difference because he's about 10 years in.
Yeah,
and you know, so I'm sure you're thinking like, oh, 10 years, 6 more years, right?
It's crazy, yeah.
But really for him, it's like, all right, so now you're beginning.
Yeah.
Which is fucking weird to think about.
Well, I literally just had this conversation with Cody Swindell on our side of things at the 4-year point. Because it's like when you start, all you want is to be able to open for headliners, work with headliners. And dude, even with this podcast, this is so lame to say, but this is so lame. But when I started, I saw the comics locally that I really respected get to do this podcast. And it was like a goal of mine of like, I want to be on this podcast at some point.
You made it.
Thank you.
This
is this is not empty. Okay, cool.
Well, thank you. That's kind to say.
But even on, of course, you're welcome. But like, also thank you for having me. But even like you just want to work. You want to be accepted by a club. You want to work with people that you really respect and that you admire and like touring headliners. And you get to that point, and it's like I got to that point in the last year, and I've gotten to do a lot of really cool stuff, and you're just like, oh shit, I'm still so far. I'm so far from where I need to be. Like I reached this point that I just like anything in the world, like if I can get to do this would be so amazing. And then you're there and you're just like, it's not enough. Like, I got to do so much more. You need a headline. That's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, is to be a headliner. And I'm so far from that.
Yeah, but you know, because this is what the TCU experience set you up for. Okay? You saw
just
what that...
crippling student debt for the rest of my life.
You know how to be poor. No. What I mean, though, is when you were thinking, I want to be a head coach.
Yeah.
You saw that path laid out. You just explained that path to me, right? That's similar to what this comedy journey is going to be,
100%.
Right? So you already have mentally prepared yourself for a journey like that.
Yeah.
It's just now it's not basketball. Now it's comedy.
It's different.
And so, you know, it's like, what did you say? You said the average head coach is going to be around like 40 or something by the time they really hit it.
Probably, yeah.
You know, so it's like, okay. So 26.
And it's about the same for comedy too.
Yeah, but it's like, but like you said, the lower level, you know, like assistant coaches and things, it's like there's still money to be made there.
Sure.
Right? Just same thing. It's like, so there's levels of this headliner work that you can get to before, you know, you don't have to be in it 20 years to start making your money.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these guys who are making a great living. Not like I'm a road dog and I live in my car, you know.
Yeah.
People making a great living as headliners who are not household names. And then they do, you know, 5, 6, 7 years of that before they become that household name.
Well, yeah.
And so it's like, you know the journey, and it's going to be a good one. It's just like you said earlier, it's putting in that work, and it's like each step. So, you know what you've learned over the last 4 years. Okay, so how are we going to amplify that and learn more over the next 4 years?
Yeah.
And then in 4 years after that, okay, well, now you're only 12 years in. In 12 years, I mean, by the time you hit the 12-year mark, you could easily be headlining and making your full-time living off comedy. Depending on your intensity of effort.
Yeah.
Right? And a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
But you've already shown with the way you were given opportunity to start producing your shows, how that kind of fell into your lap, but you were able to run with it.
Yeah.
That's the other part, which you know from your experience with, working in like collegiate D1 basketball, right?
Yeah.
Like people get lots of opportunities and they let them pass them by.
I know.
And that's a big part of what I've witnessed from the outside with some of these comics. It's like some people recently wanted to submit some things to Don't Tell Comedy, some comics that I know.
Oh, yeah, the competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, did you start working on something 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Because this was coming up, or do you have clips prepared in case there's submissions to go?
Well, and that was a missed opportunity for me because I was like, I'm not filming enough stuff. I didn't have a 3-minute set where I was like, I'm proud enough to like turn this in. So I didn't even turn it in. And that bugged me. That bothered me.
But that's the lesson, right? It's like, okay, I got it. That maybe that's a goal for this year.
That's the next step,
right?
Yeah,
it's like, okay, I need to get a camera. I need to get a little microphone that works for this.
Yep.
Learn what angles I'm going to do so that I can make a good submission tape and just have it locked and ready to go.
Yep.
And so I think that's what is going to help you. Like working on jokes is going to be your hardest thing. Yeah. That's everybody's hardest thing. But you already know how to be a professional in some sense.
Yeah.
So you got that going for you. Now you just got to make sure everything's locked and loaded and you're working on your jokes.
Well, and that's the thing. I do say this to new comics when they ask me about comedy. I'm like, being funny is 41% of this job. It's less than half. Being funny is 41%. If you're not funny at all, you fail. You have a 59%. And that's if you're filling the blanks and everything else. But the rest of it is, are you good at marketing yourself? Are you good at networking? Like, are you good at, like, there's so many other aspects. Are you, like, the joke writing is, not it being funny, I'll say the joke writing is 41%. Mm-hmm. But it's like, can you deliver jokes? Can you handle getting thrown off of your set and having to deal with a drunk audience member? Like, there's so much more that goes into this than just joke writing. It's a shame that that's the case because it should just be, are you funny? Are you a good writer? But that's not the case. I mean, there's great comics that are great writers, great performers that can't make it because nobody wants to work with them. Nobody knows who they are. Like, not only do comics not know who they are, but audience members don't know who they are. Like, there's just, there's other aspects that go into this. And, like, even content creation outside of stand-up. Like, that's part of the job now.
Yeah.
Like, doing these things where it's like, this is clips. This is something that benefits you as a performer. Like, you have to have more than just stand-up. You got to be able to write sketches. You have to have a podcast. And with social media the way it is now, like, you have to be good at social media, one, but then you have to have the content to be able to post consistently to keep people, like, to one, build your following, but also keep the people that are following you invested in you.
Yeah. Especially knowing how hard these algorithms work against you now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, both Meta and TikTok have publicly said that they do not support stand-up comedy in their platforms anymore.
Well, it's just crazy. I mean, I was looking at somebody the other day who has like 300,000 followers, and you just go look at their posts, and it's like, so out of their 300,000 followers, they're getting 800 likes.
Yeah,
it's like, how is that even possible? 300,000 people have said, I'm interested in seeing what you have. Is it likely that 100,000 of them saw this and chose not to like it? No. It's like,
they didn't even make it to most of their pages.
So it's like they can't even reach a third of their audience.
The people that are following them, that have hit a button that says, I would like more of their content.
Exactly. They can't even get a third of them.
Yeah.
So, it's like when you're down on our level, it's like you're going to have to be clever and consistent.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because,
really hard,
especially 4 years in, it's like you can't post a clip every day because you're working on your material.
And it's like, I shouldn't. I'm not at a point where I'm ready to headline. I shouldn't be investing in that. But I should be spending time working on, like, being on podcasts, working on sketches, so that when that time comes, I'm ready. Because that's the other thing, is that there's so many people.
Do you mean in the sense of, like, putting in reps so you're comfortable on podcast? Is that what you're saying?
Sure, like being good and entertaining on podcasts.
Gotcha,
there's a ton of comics that get on podcasts and they just fumble it. They can't do it. And it's like, it's not a goal of mine necessarily, but if you get on Rogan or something, like, you need to kill that. That's a huge opportunity, Yeah.
And
it's like, if you get on Theo's podcast, like, if there's a big comedian that wants you on their podcast, or even like any opportunity where you can just get up there and speak to an audience, like, you need to be set to do that. And this is not stand-up. This is different.
Yeah, I've noticed a switch here. There's comics who have been in the scene longer than you that I've had the privilege of kind of watching even before I started this podcast, and I see this switch where they struggle to accept that the world has changed in that sense. And I saw one of them. We won't say their name because I wish them the best. But they had a moment on Kill Tony, and it just bombed. And it wasn't that the material was horrible or anything. It was that the interview was catastrophic because they were so focused.
It's the hardest part of Kill Tony.
Well, they were so focused on being like they were being too cool about it.
Yeah,
they weren't being, humble, and they weren't being.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
They weren't.
I won't say it. But
they weren't willing to be vulnerable and say those things. Love them or hate them. Okay. Tony Hinchcliffe is a great live interviewer.
Yeah.
It's like.
Well, I mean, I had a huge moment.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. But point being, like they weren't willing to just be vulnerable and like let the shots come at them.
Yeah.
And they weren't even trying to roast them. They were setting them up to like, give me this interesting thing. We'll work with you. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. Too cool. And it's like, okay, have a good one. That's it. And it's like, that was your moment. And this particular person, it's like, I think you would have fit in good with that crowd.
Yep.
I think that audience would have.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I think that audience
over 10 years in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that audience would have liked you and would have accepted you if you just let them in and gave them the goods of all your horrible stuff.
Fit in that.
And it's like, but I don't think they're ready to accept that, like, and comics even here now that are newer, it's like they're not ready to accept that it's like, hey, love them or hate them, Tony Hinchcliffe is a big section of comedy now. Okay? If it's not for you, that's fine. But you can't deny the impact it's currently having.
100%.
For better or worse, it's happening.
I'll put it this way. I worked with a headliner who is not the biggest Tony fan in the world. But he basically said exactly what you just said. Like, love him or hate him. But he has a very entertaining show. That is a good show.
Yeah.
It might not be the best format for stand-up comics. It might not be the best format to show who's actually good at comedy, but it's a good and entertaining show. There's a reason why it's grown the way it's grown. Tony is very good at hosting that show. And we all have our own opinions about it, but at the end of the day, it is a good show. It's entertaining. There's a reason Netflix paid a lot of money to get some Kill Tony episodes. Like,
yeah. I mean, and maybe that's a hard thing for, like, this shows I'm a fan of. I come from this as I'm not a stand-up comic. Don't ever plan to be. Right. And that's what's always interesting to me when I hear comics talking about that show. It's like, I understand why you don't like that show. I was like, but you're so deep into the comedy world with your comedy friends and your stand-up comic friends that are performing all the time that you forget. It's like there's 10,000 people or whatever when he's at, one of these arenas.
More than that.
And the majority, and the majority of them are not aspiring stand-up comics.
No.
They're just people who want to watch this show.
And by the way, the comics that get passed on that show are now headliners.
Well,
he's made people headliners.
I will say, my favorite version of that show is when he was in LA with Jeremiah Watkins and Joel Jimenez. That was my favorite version. The show has made an improvement in terms of like quality of production and all that, but I just miss.
Yeah,
I think
the rawness of the old Kill Tony.
I think Tony was a little smoother around the edges when he had somebody like Jeremiah working with him.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah,
and
I agree.
Because if you go back and listen to those old episodes, people can talk shit about him all they want, and I'm not even here to like defend him. But what I do respect about him is in those earlier episodes when he's in LA before it became the Austin thing.
Yeah,
it's like, did you listen to many of those back then? Do you remember like if people would? Boo?
I was a Kill Tony fan before I started comedy.
Okay, so people would boo that show. And he would be like, no, fuck off. No. If you have the nerve to get up here, you're going to get an uninterrupted minute.
Yeah.
We're not booing. We're not doing. And if you don't have the balls to come up here and try this,
he would
keep
do
your
that
mouth
at
shut.
Vulcan too. Before it was at Mothership. I think part of it is that it just doesn't happen at Mothership because that's a really well run ship.
Yeah.
I hate using the word ship and Mothership, but it is. Like, they do a really good job with that club.
But you saw him in those previous episodes, and maybe it's just, like you said, maybe it's just so known now that people don't
I
dare
think that's
do
a part of it.
But I think people forget, it's like, these people would go up there who essentially, by like modern, by like society's take on things, They're losers. They don't have anything going for them. And he's giving them a minute. He's giving them an opportunity to shine, and he's telling the whole crowd, shut up. And then even when they do poorly, if they're just friendly people, if they're just nice, he's still trying to give them the thing. He's like aiming for you to succeed. And so it's like, it's so easy to shit on that show, but it's like to do that for like a decade and build it into what it is, that's some skill.
Well, and
you can't deny it.
He's found that balance too, because let's be the majority of people that are going to kill Tony kind of want to see the comics fail. They're rooting against you. So Tony has to kind of find that balance of like, he's rooting for you, but the moment the crowd has completely turned on you, then he's on their side.
Well, luckily there's enough shitbags that get on the show where it's like, hey, you did it to yourself.
100%.
Because
it's a hard show to do. It's really tough. Doing a minute is really hard, and then doing a 10-minute interview where you really don't know what's coming, and you can kind of prepare. I mean, I kind of
Well, to your point, if you have never been on a podcast or anything, if you haven't been interviewed a lot, that's a whole new level of stress.
But even on top of that, you're being interviewed in front of a live crowd that
and the internet
probably doesn't want you to win. They're not on your side. They're on Tony's side. They're on the table's side. And they want the table to make fun of the comic that's on stage right now.
Yeah.
So that's a tough bat. Like, it's hard for you to go on there. I mean, even when I did it, like, I just leaned into everyone's going to be against me. I'm going to make myself the joke. Like, I'm going to do that. And it worked for my mom, but it worked. It worked for my mom.
That's right. Oh, it's coming back now. You're too young for this, but did you ever hear about the Apollo Theater?
I know of it. Yeah.
You know it? That is maybe the closest other thing to Kill Tony.
Yeah.
Because the crowd was in full control of your destiny.
Yeah.
And Steve Harvey was actually he was the host on it for a long time. But you'd go out there, they gave you about 30 seconds maybe to love you or hate you.
Yeah.
But what was wild is like they would turn on you so fast. But at the same time, if you came out there and they're looking at you like, here we go. Because it's like 99% black crowd.
Yeah, it was Def Jam.
Yeah, so if you come out, they're like already like, what do we got here?
Yeah.
But if all of a sudden you started belting like an incredible rendition of like Stevie Wonder or something, 10 seconds in, they're standing up out of their seats, cheering you on. And it's like they no matter what,
they understand the accomplishment of it.
They still recognize talent.
Yeah.
And there was something about like you could tell who was humble and genuine.
Yeah.
And I think no matter what you say about that Kill Tony crowd, like they are looking for you to bleed up there.
Yeah.
But if you got good material and you seem at all humble, like you love comedy, they also accept you pretty fast.
Yeah.
Because they accepted so many like misfit reject type people.
They like characters.
They do, but then
characters.
you get these gems. Well, I mean, Michael Lehrer was probably
incredible.
Come on,
he was a great comic.
And to give that guy those moments to the end, I mean,
it's like one of the coolest things they've done ever.
Yeah, it's
it might be the coolest thing.
It's like, we get it started as like he was kind of your freak show, but you didn't have, but it morphed.
He was also a great comic.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
a great comic.
He took that opportunity and was like, no, I'm going to show you what I'm capable of. And, how many examples of people like that has he had now?
Yeah.
Where it's like, dude.
Even on the, like, I've seen DFW comics that hate Kill Tony, right? And I've seen William Montgomery come up to DFW and perform here and watched those comics sit in the back of the room ready to be like, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
And then he starts performing and they're laughing in the back of the room. And it's like, that dude's a good comic. Yeah. Like, there's good comics that come out of that show.
Well, Ari Matty, that's on there right now.
Very funny. Yeah.
Like, he may not be your style, right?
Yeah.
But that's a funny dude who is working on comedy.
Yeah, he follows my mom on Instagram.
But point being, have you heard him talk about how, like, these festivals wouldn't take him, these things wouldn't take him? It's like, he didn't have any other, he was trying these other routes, and they didn't go for it. This is his route.
Yeah.
And look what it's doing for him.
Yeah.
And it's like, so, okay, if you're gonna hate him for attempting to succeed, that's fucking lame.
Yeah. I think a lot of the comics, especially in DFW, that really hate on Kill Tony, don't get me wrong, there's valid arguments to dislike the show.
Yeah.
But a lot of the comics that I hear are the most vocal anti-Kill Tony. I think a lot of it's fear. I think it's just like they are scared. They aren't willing to go take that risk.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of owning up to that, they'd rather tell you every reason why no one should take that risk.
A long-time veteran of the comedy scene was the one who told me about Kill Tony. Long. I was at a dog park in Plano, and I bumped into this comic, this podcast. None of this had started yet, and I was like, you heard about this Kill Tony thing? Like, I heard it on Rogan or something. And he's like, oh, yeah, rich suburban white kid who just shits on a bunch of people. And I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, yeah, he's just like stuck up. He sucks at comedy, and like he just shits on people. That's his whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, well, I think I'm gonna check it out anyway. And I check it out. I liked it. Yeah. And then I hear him on some interviews and stuff, and it's like, well, he's the opposite of this rich, spoiled kid. It's like I don't think he had this like privileged upbringing. Yeah. But anyway, and it's like you started feeling some of that hate.
It's more of like a big chip on his shoulder. That's the way I describe Tony.
Yeah.
He's got this huge chip on his shoulder.
And I picked up on that, but I remember after listening to several episodes and bumping into that person again, trying to talk to him about it, and they couldn't. It was all the same shit. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, oh, this is your own hang up that you've been doing it X amount of years, and this person's getting their shine right now.
Oh, sure. I mean, that's a huge thing for all of us. There's so much jealousy in this.
I think most of the DFW stuff, too, with a certain group, it's like there's definitely the pung thing they're all pissed about.
Sure, which is fair.
Sure. And then there's definitely the and by the way, it's like you probably shouldn't be saying that word and doing those things.
100%.
Like when I saw the full clip, it's like,
I started a week after that happened.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I walked into the scene while that bomb had been dropped, and I was like, what is happening?
And as much as I'm like kind of defending Tony here, it's like there's also this interview where he is talking about believing that the Chinese government was like doing all this to. It's like, okay, that's a bit delusional, pal. Like that's ridiculous.
Nobody's saying Tony's a saint. By the way, I'm not the guy that's going to sit here and be like, I love Tony Hinchcliffe.
No.
I know too many stories. I know too much about like the inside stuff from just things I hear from comics that know him and have been around him. Like, I'm not going to say that, but I will give him credit. He runs a very entertaining show that gives comics opportunities every week. And how many opportunities are out there?
Well, and like, I think that's how we got on this whole kick is like these local opportunities that exist. It's like you taking advantage of them. It's like you don't have to do Kill Tony, but are you doing all the stuff here? Are you working hard on it?
Yeah.
And the people,
so many people that aren't.
The people that I see succeed, that's all it is. It's that consistency,
Well, and that's my biggest hang up with this scene is that like this scene has a very old school mindset, which I think has there's pros and cons to that, right? But it is very stuck in its own ways. There's a lot of vets that can give a lot of great advice, but they can also give a lot of advice that can really stunt you and keep you from growing. And it's like you kind of, if you want to get out of this scene, you have to be okay getting out of the status quo of this scene.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about. I'm in this nice area where I get to hear these conversations between veterans and newer comics, just a fly on the wall as we're like grabbing a drink or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It's like you'll hear stuff, and I don't perform, so I don't pretend to know. But you're just in your mind, you're like, I wonder if that was good advice.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like a tough thing because there's going to be people in this scene that hate you for stepping out of that line. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm like a trailblazer. Like I'm not really stepping out of the line as much as I should be. I should be doing a lot more. But the moment you step out of line, you kind of get isolated here and you kind of get thrown on an island. So it's this weird like tightrope you have to walk of like staying in good graces with everyone so you can keep getting the work that you need to get to keep improving. Because ultimately, Dallas-Fort Worth is a scene to get good at comedy. It's not a scene to make it in comedy.
Well, what's your take on why people can't make it here? Because that's something that I dwell on a lot.
It's just industry's not here. That's the biggest part. You go to LA, you go to New York, you go to even Austin now. Like, what is it? CAA? Is that the talent agency? I don't remember.
That is a talent agency.
Yeah. CAA just opened an HQ office in Austin.
But Austin's not far from Dallas.
It's not. But it's like if you want to be there, you got to be there. You got to move there and you got to make it there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can go down to Austin right now with the people that I know. Like, I was down there in January. I was there for 2 days. I did 5 shows. Mm-hmm. Like, I can go get booked and do shows in Austin. I'm going to Boston tomorrow. I'm doing 2 shows tomorrow night in Boston. Like, I can travel and get spots. But the moment you live there, it's different. It's harder. visiting, everybody's happy to help out a visitor because they don't know if they're going to be visiting where you live and they'll need help back, right? But the moment you get there, I was just talking to a female comic that moved down to Austin, and she was in the same boat as me, where she would go down and visit and get booked on every show in Austin. And the moment she moved there, all the people that used to help her were like, we don't know who you are. Like, they just ignored her. It's different. You got to go make it down there.
Why do you...
But having the industry there, to finish that point, of there's management there, there's talent agents there. Like, as much as it sucks, you do need help. Like, this is not an industry where you can... Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, you need support to make it. You can't make it on your own.
Right, I understand. But why do you think we keep having clubs opening then? Why do you think
There's enough people to support clubs, but club support doesn't equal comic success.
Yeah.
Because the clubs that are the most successful, who's really selling tickets there? The dudes from LA, the dudes from New York, the dudes from Austin.
Yeah, I wonder, though, I have my own... I don't know if they're accurate, but I have my own hang-ups on all that, where I wonder if this scene, specifically with clubs, owners, managers, bookers, right? If they are, well, again, back to basketball, it's like, how many people for TCU are watching high school games?
Yeah.
Right? How many people are going out there watching these things? If they see someone who they've got an eye on, and they're like, hey, listen, here's the things you need to be working on. Here's what you need. They're farming these kids, hoping like the good faith I'm putting out here, if this becomes someone who comes on our team, this is going to pay dividends, right? Yeah. And I just worry they don't do enough of that. I think some do it better, some do it worse, some do it not at all.
Yeah.
And just from what I hear, and it's like I've tried to talk to a few of these club owners, and they're not interested in
they're not
talking about that, and that's fine. When this podcast gets bigger,
they're
revisit
just like
that.
Comics. Like, none of us want advice on how our set should be.
Well,
like,
I'm not trying to give advice. I'm more just trying to ask give me your philosophy. Like, would you want to come on the show and talk about your philosophy?
No, they don't want to be, because anyone can sit there and poke holes in all of it.
Yeah. And
I bet we can talk after.
Okay.
But I bet one club owner would come talk to you.
We'll see.
I can set that up.
We'll talk afterwards, but but just to see, like, tell me the reasoning, because maybe this stuff I think right now is bullshit. Maybe there's a real good reason for it that I'm just ignorant about. There's a lot of things I don't know that I don't know right now.
Yeah.
And but from the outside, you're just like, why is it? It's easy to go like New York, LA. It's like they can do these. They can sell out shows because they have this history and they have this industry and all that. But it's like we have a lot of people here. And we have a lot of and we have a lot of comics here, and it's like, as a club, what can you do to make your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights also be a thing that people are showing up for?
Well, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
When did you know of any comedy club in DFW growing up? When was it you first found out about a comedy club?
It would have been so when I was waiting tables and going to school. That was about like 2000, probably like 5 or 6, something like that.
And how old were you?
I would have been like 21, 22, around that age, I guess.
I was 22 years old when I found out there were comedy clubs in Dallas-Fort Worth.
So I don't remember how I heard about it, but somehow Dallas Hyenas came into the conversation. Mm-hmm. And then I found out they had we must have went and watched someone, but I don't know who that was, like a friend or something. But then I found out they had their free shows.
Yep.
On Thursdays.
Yep.
And so when I was broke, that became like like if I
a date
was hanging out with friends, date night, I'm one of those guys. They're all still doing it. And but then it became that's when I started noticing different levels, because I didn't know that any of these people were local. I assumed everybody at a comedy club was from out of town.
When I work weekends, that's like one of the main questions I get is, you live here?
Yeah, where are you from?
Yeah.
And so that was a big mind blower of like, oh, and then after I'd gone to a few Thursday shows, it's like, wait, I've seen some of these people. I didn't know that they were doing material. I was still so ignorant. I was like, they just get up there and they're just funny.
The amount of people I've had ask me that
they're
question.
Just like, how did you just make that up right then? That's hilarious, dude. It's almost like it would have taken me like weeks to prepare that. And you're like, yeah, well.
It's almost the magic of it. It's like you don't want to break that for somebody, but at the same time, it's like that. It also creates more respect for the art form.
It does, and so then it was just years of, if there was somebody good, I'll go check them out. I love now we're hitting up the clubs, but it was Dallas Hyenas, and I I don't think I even knew about the Fort Worth one. I knew it existed, but I never went out there.
Yeah.
And somewhere in that mix was Backdoor. Backdoor was incredible. And then...
Still never been to Backdoor.
I like Backdoor. I can't remember how clean you are right now, though, but it's a clean
I'm not
club.
the cleanest, but it's not an issue with that because it's like I can work clean. It's more of their mic is on Thursdays, and I've always worked out and had dinner with my dad on Thursday nights, so it's just like a schedule thing. It's nothing against it. I want to do it. It's just more of like, especially now, like, do I want to drive to Richardson from Arlington for 3 minutes at a clean club when I could just take that night to go work out and have free dinner? Because I'm with my dad, right? So it's not an anti-Backdoor thing. I want to work Backdoor. I want to be there. It's never like just pros and cons of it.
That is one of my favorite clubs for a lot of reasons. But
I've only ever heard good things.
The people who shit on it, which I've come across many who do, they are never the people who are taking it too seriously.
Yeah,
and that's what I'll say. There's people at that club, whether it's Linda or whether it's other comics, who will give very sound advice.
Sure.
And some people are just like, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about,
Sure.
and those people suck.
Yeah.
And
no, don't get me wrong. There's definitely comics there that I do not like, but that do not like me either.
Yeah. But there's something interesting about those.
Linda's always been great, by the way. I love Linda.
There's something interesting about those crowds there because Richardson is not Dallas. It's not Fort Worth.
It's different. Yeah.
And there's something about the Richardson, Plano area. Actually, I think it's mostly Richardson that's going to those shows probably. These are people who are not going to Deep Ellum. They're not even going down to Mockingbird Station to go to Dallas Hyenas. They don't want to go to Addison, and all these places aren't far away. They like where they're at.
Yeah.
But those shows are consistently sold out.
Yeah.
And it's a smaller room. It's easier to sell out. But there's an energy in that room too because they are not, like you go down to Deep Ellum, that's a certain type of person.
Yeah.
You go to Fort Worth Hyenas on a Friday, Saturday night, that's a certain. They came out. We're looking to have fun. We're looking to party, right?
Yeah.
The Richardson crowd, it's almost like you get just these neighborhood people in there, which is real interesting.
Yeah.
And they're people from that area who I don't know that they're huge comedy fans. They're trying a new thing tonight. And so there's this real honest reaction that you get there. And, like I'm trying to think of a good way. Like it's hard at like the Hyenas clubs because, they do a lot of those free tickets. So you get a lot of people who are just trying something out, but they're also the partiers. So it's a little rowdy and...
Well, it depends on which Hyenas.
Yeah.
They're both very different.
Very different. And then like DCC, that Deep Ellum crowd's real strange.
Very different.
Because it's like you might get some super liberal 22-year-old out there.
You're going to get the SMU crowd.
Next to him is the SMU oil man. And it's like the crowd interactions are very strange.
Well, yeah, you'll get the SMU oil man, but you'll also get the junior at SMU who's going, it's a bunch of girls going out tonight to a comedy show, or it's a date night for a fraternity and they're coming to a comedy show. It's maybe that's very different group.
Backdoor is never the date night bachelorette party thing. It's just people coming to a comedy show. So it's a real, I like it a lot because I'll go to, I haven't been in a while, but I'll go to their open mic every now and then just to watch. They'll have a crowd at their open mic.
Yeah.
And I'm watching these people's reactions to seeing comedy on this base level.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's real interesting. But I like that club for those reasons. I feel like you cut some teeth there that you don't get to at other places.
Well, and I will say that you hammered a point that is great to make is Dallas-Fort Worth's superpower as a comedy scene is how different every aspect of the scene is. Mm-hmm. You go to Dallas Hyenas, that is a different crowd than Fort Worth Hyenas. Mm-hmm. Very different. Fort Worth Hyenas and Big Laugh, fairly similar. I mean, they're a block away from each other. Mm-hmm. Arlington Improv, very different. I mean, that's the black club in DFW. Mm-hmm. It's a very different crowd. The Addison Improv, very different. Mm-hmm. Mic Drop in Plano, very different. Richardson people, very different. DCC, very different. You can go up to Comedy Arena. That's a whole different animal.
I was going to say Comedy Arena is the closest feeling I've had to Backdoor out of all the clubs.
Okay.
Because it's also somewhat of a neighborhood feel.
A little bit. Yeah. And Denton, hugely different.
Yeah.
Like, so as a comic in DFW, you can hit so many different types of crowds to really test like what works and what doesn't work. And then, I mean, we have the benefit, you've been out to Rose City and Tyler, like we're an hour and a half, 2 hours away from that. And that's a totally different animal. So it's like, if you can work everywhere in this scene, you can almost see any crowd that you'll see anywhere else in the country.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes this scene so good of a scene to get really good at this is you can be everywhere. You're not in Des Moines, Iowa, where your crowd is the crowd that goes to shows in downtown Des Moines. And even Houston is a great example of it's a city that's nice because all the clubs are very close to each other, but they're all very close to each other in downtown Houston. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you want to get good, like you're going to get a lot of the same type of people in Houston. And don't get me wrong, there's great comics in Houston. There's great clubs in Houston. That's not a knock on Houston, but it's just a differentiator in Dallas of like, yeah, you're going to have to drive a while to get from one place to another, but you're going to get to see so many different types of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just makes me wish, like, I could snap my fingers in and get those industry people here because I feel like it's kind of like a double edge. On one hand, you wonder like if you had that here, would people be? This is going to sound shitty. This is like I'm going to tell.
Say it. Yeah.
Well, it's easy from the outside to be like people don't work hard enough. Right?
There's a lot of that.
But I do wonder. It's like, hey, if we had industry here, would you work harder? Or if you worked harder, would we bring more industry here? Like if there was all this talent popping out of here, wouldn't agencies be like, well, let's go? Because all they want to do is make money off of you.
Yeah.
And if you're funny and they can make money off of you, they're going to find you, hopefully. And so I don't know. We'll see. We got all these clubs doing stuff. I think personally, the club that's going to start catching more attention if the comics are out there, Tyler, Rose City is doing an incredible job right now.
Yeah, Christopher is doing an amazing job, yeah.
I mean, genuinely, since they have opened the doors on that new one.
Yeah, Christopher.
He hit the ground running, man. Some of the acts I see them getting out there right now, I'm like, fuck, dude, good job.
It's so special.
So I don't know if he's just got investors now that he can afford these headliners, but...
I think it's that, but I mean, he's the only real show in town. I mean, there's other smaller things going on, but he's the show in town, and Tyler's growing.
Yeah, but still, to entice some of the comics he's had to be like, come on out to Tyler, we'll set you up. You know what I mean? Like, that's a hard sell to people who've never been to the club or seen it.
Fly into Dallas and drive. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's doing it.
Yeah, he is.
And that's kind of a testament to like, hey, how hard are you working? Because if you, like... He's agreed to come on the show. He just lives in Tyler.
Yeah.
And so I think what I'm going to have to do is drag my ass to Tyler, just interview him in his club, and which is probably what I'm going to offer to do. Just to I want his version of the story of starting in that cell phone repair shop, turning it into what he did, and now into this location.
It's a great story. I
only got to chat with him for like an hour and a half at one of the shows out there, and he gave me a little bit of rundown, but he was also pretty humble about it, so I was having to like dig it out.
Yeah.
And but did you go to the previous location? Did you perform there?
Yeah.
It's like even that little room. What did that seat? 45 people maybe?
It depends 50? On when you went.
Yeah.
Depends on when you went. Because so it's a running joke with him actually is that I'm not an OG because the OGs had to do the real small room.
No, I didn't do the real small room.
Yeah. And I was the week after they moved to the bigger room.
Yeah, but the bigger room to me, that's the only one I saw. I never saw the small one.
So when it first was there, it was like 50 people.
Okay.
By the end, before they moved to the new venue, I think it got up to like 80 or like probably about 80.
Okay. I saw it in the smaller form.
Yeah.
And there was just like a little magic in that room. And it was literally just like, I've talked about this before on here, so sorry, but some of the bigger clubs, you'll walk in, and no one is excited that they work at a fucking comedy club.
I know. Yeah.
And it's lame. So here we are. We just drove 2 hours to Tyler to check out what we hope is a good show. We don't know. I got my buddy Chris. I was like, well, you met him at Pickles. Yeah. He's my go-to where I'm like, hey, dude, you want to come with me? Could be shitty.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's go. But anyway.
My boys were on that one. You had Cody and Danny on that one.
Yeah. And so we get out there, and it's like, you walk in the door, it's like, he's there. Christopher's there.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you guys here for this? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right over here. I'll check you in. He's running the booth. He's running the set. Like all this care to like, and I remember it's like, I was looking around. It's like, he had lights off like Amazon and shit. Yeah. None of this was fancy stuff.
No.
But it was like the care of like, no, I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
It's like, hell yeah. That's all you need. A little bit of grit.
Yeah.
It's like, I leave those types of shows and experiences. Like you're amped up. You're like, I don't need the nicest anything. I just need a little hustle in my life,
He's got the same like figure it out energy that Danny McGow has.
That's good to hear.
They do. They both just like, yeah, we'll make it work. Like, they'll do it. I love that about like Shy. Sorry, I keep calling him fucking Shy.
I know.
Christopher. Sorry, when I first met him, he was shy, but he doesn't go by that anymore.
They explained that to me because people were saying that name, and I was like, no, it's this dude Christopher that I met. And they're like,
it's
who? He doesn't run that club.
Yeah, it's the same guy. The last time I went out there, he was like, hey, it's Christopher officially now. I was like, God damn, it's okay, because I've known you as this other name for 2.5
that's
years.
His own. He's got his growing pains. We'll get through it.
Yeah.
Give it another couple years. Everybody will have it down.
Yeah. But no, he's killed it out there. He's absolutely killed it. And you're right. Just huge names that are selling out there that clubs can't help them sell out in Dallas-Fort Worth. Like,
I saw, I would be curious to ask him what the numbers are. Like when Catherine Blanford went to.
That was the one I was thinking of.
That what?
That like sells okay in DFW.
Yeah.
But sold the hell out of.
I watched her in a smaller room here, and it was not sold out. Mm-hmm. And
she's incredible.
Yeah, I bought tickets.
Also, I have a huge crush on Catherine Blanford, and I know her ex-boyfriend, so I have to be careful. But
the thing is we bought tickets to this smaller room at one of the bigger clubs here. And
by the way, I think the room size is about the same between those two.
What do you
between Rose and the club that you saw her in DFW? I think it's about the same.
Not the new location.
I think they're both about like 150.
No.
Or, you sure?
Yeah, the room I saw her in was about a 50-seat capacity.
Okay, we'll have to talk about this after.
You know this place. You've already. Anyway, point being,
We'll have to talk about
it's a venue that has 2 rooms. One of them is smaller.
Yes, I know. Okay, so she was in the smaller room?
Yes.
Oh, I thought she was in the bigger room.
So I bought tickets to that thinking like, holy cow, this is a really talented comic who's blowing up right now. She'd already been on like Jimmy Fallon and and she'd had her Don't Tell thing released, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a great opportunity to see her in the small room. I'll never see her in the small room again.
Yeah.
And I was expecting like, we got to get tickets now because this is definitely going to sell out. They're probably going to add on another show. And then you're there and it's like there's open seats.
Which is crazy.
And you find out like the venue, like I go and look back and it's like the venue really didn't post anything.
Yeah.
And my understanding, I don't know Catherine, but my understanding was it was probably like a you rented out the room, you're testing the market kind of thing. But either way, if you rented the room from me and I'm trying to move alcohol and all this stuff, aren't I going like, hey,
let's
look who we got here,
hell out.
Straight from the Tonight Show and Don't Tell Comedy. Everything I just said, last chance probably to see them on a stage this small. We'll have to put them in the big room next time. Whatever.
By the way, she was trying to do my home club twice, and they couldn't sell enough tickets for her to make the trip worth it, and she canceled both times.
And so, meanwhile, you look out when she's going to Rose City, and it's like he's pumping out all these clips and doing all these things.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, dude,
he's doing
hustling.
the work. He's doing the work.
And so, whatever magic he's working with out there, it's working. The community seems to be behind it, which is the bigger important part. It's like he's growing a fan base for his club, not necessarily for the comics.
I did a Wednesday show out there. Like me and Liz went out together. Liz was headlining. I went up right before, and there was 40-something people there on a Wednesday
night.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Tyler. It was great. They were awesome.
He's building his own community.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of them struggle to do here. A lot of clubs, it's like, yes, it's you and the comics, but also you've got like 7 million people here.
Yeah.
You could create your own follow, because that's what places like the Comedy Store or the Cellar, that's what they have. If I'm in New York and we have the opportunity to go to the Cellar, I'm not going to look to see who's performing. I'm just going.
Yeah, there's a weird thing here, because you're right. Like, especially on the Dallas side of things, like there is that energy of people in Dallas of like looking for the cool thing to do. And in LA and New York, you're right. The Store is like one of the cool things to do. The Cellar is one of the cool things to do. We don't have a club in Dallas where it's like that's the cool place to be. We don't.
DCC's trying.
They're trying.
In the bar area and everything's great. It's
and don't get me wrong, DCC's
awesome.
Yeah. I love DCC. It's one of my favorite clubs.
It's not like through fault of them.
No.
They're doing things. It's just.
But they also don't have the capacity to bring in the big names that a couple other clubs can do. Mm-hmm. So they're a little more limited on that side of things, where it's like, I mean, the Store and the Cellar have the benefit of you can go any night and you can see the biggest names in the world that are doing arenas throughout the country.
Yeah.
It's an unfair advantage. We'll give them that credit.
But you could, even if you're not selling out arenas, you can still build a reputation here locally that like this town has killers.
Yeah, and just
because we do, right?
Know it exists.
Because if you could pick your dream lineup, and I'm not going to tell you to do that here, but like if you could book your show where they're like, hey, we're going to sell, we want to sell out 300 seats. You pick any 5, and they have to do it here locally. You're going to be able to find 5 that are just killers on stage.
I mean, that's my
easy.
shows I run. It's 6-man shows, 5-man shows, and it's the people that I'm like, these are the killers.
Well, what do you think is your biggest, what is your strategy when you're moving these tickets? Because you're talking about how you're building up your own. You're like, I can consistently get my 20 to 30 people coming.
Well, and that's kind of why I'm pulling back a little bit. Is my strategy doesn't work as well anymore. It was a lot of Facebook was the way I was driving it. So Facebook, comics can steal this now. It doesn't work as well as it used to. But the way I would do it, I would create a Facebook event. You've gotten these invites before.
Mm-hmm.
I'd create the Facebook event. I would blast out invites to every one of my Facebook friends. I have 3,000 Facebook friends. And then I have my Kickback comedy page that has another 500 followers. So I could blast it out to 3,500 people. Through that, just naturally, you would get around 100 people that would respond either interested or going to that event. And then I would run paid ads attached to that event. And I would also go into every Facebook neighborhood group and promote it in those groups. Go to the singles groups, the couples groups, the looking for things to do in Dallas-Fort Worth, the event groups, every one of them. And just post once a week, once every other week leading up to the show. And that was kind of how I did it. And it worked because I would have that initial 100 people that would respond. So when people clicked on the event, they'd go, 100 people have responded. This is legit.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, there's very few people in Dallas where there's one person in Dallas where you could put their name on a flyer and it would sell tickets.
Mm-hmm.
It's Ralph.
Right.
Congratulations, Ralph. You're fucking killing it and you're incredible and I love you. But outside of that, I put anybody else's name on it. That's not really pushing tickets. Unless they got buddies that want to come. It's not. It's just the reality we live in.
Yeah.
So having these 100 people that would respond to the event would legitimize it. And then when I ran ads and people would see the event, they go, oh, this seems like a real thing. This seems cool. Okay, I'll check it out. And when I would post about it in these Facebook groups, people would see the same thing. So that was kind of how I sold tickets in the past. That's what I did for Fort Brewery, and that's why we would have over 100 people at every single show. That was a free show. It was a little easier. And then with the Kickback shows at Big Laugh, last year, I was selling 70 tickets a show.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing pretty well for a 100-seat room. It's pretty good for a local Thursday night show.
It's really good.
Yeah. But now...
Real quick, when you were placing these ads, how much money were you investing in ads?
Too much. We don't have to talk about it.
Just give me an idea. A show.
500.
Really?
Yeah.
So what would your... how much are you losing on that 500?
So...
By the time you get through the show, are you making any of that back?
So last year when I was running these ads, if I ran $500 in ads, I would get 30 ticket sales off of it at $20 a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Now I split 55, 45 with the club. So I wasn't getting all 600 of those dollars back. But I have a day job where I make okay money. And the shows aren't about the money for me. It's about good stage time for me, good stage time for the comics I'm booking. So I'm totally fine losing money on these shows.
I'm more just curious of return on the investment in the sense of after you put that 500, do you feel like you were selling tickets to the show? Were you happy with or were you I shouldn't have spent that money on those ads?
Yes, I was always happy.
Okay.
I'll say my most successful show, I have no problem saying this. My most successful show, I made $803 from ticket sales after the split with the club. And I spent $1,100 on that show.
Gotcha.
And that's about what I spend on every show. Between flyers, because I overpay for flyers, because it's a comedian buddy that makes my flyers. That does a great job. Don't get me wrong. He's so talented. He's done work for Co. Wetzel. He's done work for TX Whiskey. He's super talented. So I have no problem overpaying him. But I pay the comics pretty well. I pay for flyers. I pay for promo. And by the end of it, it's usually I'm losing somewhere between $300 and $500 a show.
And how many shows have you done in a year usually?
6.
Yes, that's substantial.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
No, with that, it's not the end of the world. The problem is, so Facebook nerfed the way that you can do that now. So instead of me being able to pump out 3,500 invites to the event, now you're capped at 500 invites per account. So that 100 responses that I had before off 3,500 invites is now turned into 20 to 30.
Which is not as impressive.
Not as impressive. Yeah. Doesn't really sell through the show. Doesn't really legitimize the show. So when I run ads, I'm not getting the same return anymore. So that happened around October of last year, and my October show sold like 30 tickets. My December show, we sold 50, which wasn't bad, but it was also like the week before Christmas. I had a lot of friends in town. I had people that had been trying to see me that hadn't had time, and they finally had time. So it's like of the 45 tickets, probably 35 of them were people that knew me directly.
So what's your new strategy now? How are you going to pivot?
So the June show, we're doing a little bit more content stuff with the club. I mean, luckily, Big Laugh is really big on content. They have a podcast studio. They have video editors and things like that. So I had comics send in just like their favorite stand-up clips, and we're going to put together a promo video for that. And then I'm working on a couple sketch ideas. I'm hoping that we can make it happen. I don't know if the comics are going to buy into doing it. But worst case scenario, I know I can get one of them to do it with me. Because the show's on Juneteenth, and I didn't know that when I booked it.
Yeah.
So it's me, Kirsty Hayden, and 4 black comics. And so I'm like, oh, it would be funny to do a sketch where it's like all the black comics bitching about me, the whitest dude on the planet, running a show on Juneteenth. And then me just being at the end of the video like, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Like, oh my God, I promise you're getting paid. Like, you're not doing this one for free. Like,
you know who did a good run of what you're describing recently was when Kane headlined his Addison show.
With that.
Yeah, that was the first one in a while where I was
Arlington show, right? I think it was Arlington.
Yeah, wasn't it like a... Yeah,
it was the Arlington Improv.
But it was that was his first like kind of headlining
Friends.
thing. Yeah. And all his little clips of like doing jobs he's not supposed to be doing. And I mean, clever. And it was just something a little different where I was like, thank God. Like somebody's just trying something dumb and fun.
Well, and that's my thing is like, even with Big Laugh, even with other clubs, right? Like maybe the content's really not the thing selling it through, but what the content does is gives the club a reason to post something else about your show. So you're getting in front of those people, which especially in the Fort Worth side of things, like Fort Worth is not the best city for running social media ads. It's not the best city to get people to come out off of just random promo stuff. Like there's Fort Worth Hyenas is successful because they have a massive fucking email list.
Right.
That's what makes that club work. And Big Laugh is working on that too.
Yeah, but they've been curating that for what, 15 years
like
now
30,
or something? Yeah,
almost 30.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what makes it successful. So it's if you can get in front of the people that have already like followed their Instagram accounts because they're interested in the club, and it gives them something to email out, it gives them something to talk about, post about, put up even. And when you go to, you haven't been to Big Laugh, but when you get to Big Laugh, you'll see they have 2 giant TV screens when you walk up. And it's like just even being showcased on those screens, because those screens are on all day. There's so many people that work downtown. If you have something that can get you like spotlighted a little bit, it affects ticket sales. It helps increase things. And you have to give clubs a reason to want to promote you, as much as it sucks. But it's like, and this is other advice that I give to comics when they're trying to run like bar shows and brewery shows. It's like, don't do it unless the venue's willing to work just as hard as you are on promo. Because the club, like Next Stop is a great example. Next Stop, you went to that Petty Cola show. Petty Cola's posted like 3 things the week of about the show. They posted something like a couple weeks out about that show.
Yeah.
That show sold out. They tried to do a show at Community. Community made 1 post about it. That show got canceled.
Yeah.
And you know that. You were supposed to go to the Community show.
Yep.
But they posted nothing about it. And they just weren't as invested.
And they are like
way bigger.
And for people who aren't here locally listening, both of those places could have an equally, like they could both be successful with these shows.
Yeah.
They're both well-known breweries.
Community's a way more well-known brewery.
That's what I'm saying.
Way bigger, huge following on Instagram.
Well, I think I told you in person when we were there that night, but like Petacolas, it's like, dude, they're the real deal.
Yeah.
Like I emailed them before this podcast had ever released an episode, just saying like, man, I've always loved your beer. I'm starting this podcast. I would love to interview somebody from the thing, and I'm expecting like, won't get shit back, And I mean, I think it was like a couple days even. It wasn't long. And, it's like the owner, Michael Petacola, he's like, oh, that sounds fun. Yeah. And he was thinking this was like my full-time job. He's like, how about Tuesday at like 10 or something? And I was like, man, dude, I work. I was like, it's okay. I appreciate you reaching out. He's like, no. We'll work around your schedule. I'll send some people out. Tell me the time.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. And sure enough, it's episode, I think, 4. And he sent 2 brewers out, Chad and Burnleg. I can't remember his real name. But and yeah, dude, they brought us beer, hats, and sat down and chat with it. And it's like, fuck yeah, man. That's like a legitimate, that's somebody who's invested in the local scene on more than just a we sell beer level.
Well, dude, even on my side of things with Fort Brewery, I loved working with Fort Brewery. Mm-hmm. And the only reason we don't anymore is because they shut down the tap room and they're just distributing now.
Yeah.
But they're owned by Frank Kent Cadillacs. So it's not like a mom and pop. So I was a little nervous when I got into it of like, oh, like how supportive are they going to be of this? But they had a social media agency. They had a project coordinator or event coordinator who I dealt with. And it was like anytime I needed anything from them promo wise, I just sent them a note and they're like, done, we got it.
Yeah.
And like I would create the Facebook event, they would co-host the Facebook event so their followers would all see it. I would send them content and they'd be like, yeah, it's getting posted tomorrow. Like anything I needed. And that show was so successful.
Well, that's the difference. So it's somebody who, because that.
And we ran a Sunday night show, by the way, and we would have over 100 people come out to Fort Worth. And not a nice area of Fort Worth, like kind of outside of downtown, like not a good area. It's hard. You don't find that place off the street. Like you got to go through a back road to get to it.
But you know, those people, whoever's running that place, the fact that they would hire that person, the event coordinator person, that tells you all you need to know. Where it's like they know that not only is this a cool thing to have, but your nickels and dimes here add up.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
And how expensive is it? For me to send you what to post and you post it.
Exactly.
It costs nothing.
Exactly. And it's like that person's annual salary, you're going to make that back by telling them like, hey, we got to have these off nights booked with shit.
Yeah.
Let's go. Figure it out.
100%.
And I had an experience like that with, I got to produce this live show and we made it into a vinyl record. And it was like a BYOB thing. It wasn't at a bar. It was at this little cabin. And I was like, oh, man, I don't want to tell people just BYOB. I want to have something, but I don't want to drop a lot of money. And Four Corners Brewery, they just gave us a shitload of beer. They're like, oh, that sounds cool.
That's awesome.
They were like, we've actually worked with that band in the past. Like, yeah, swing by. We'll load you up. And they just gave me like cases of beer. And so, you know, on social media before and after the event, it's like we're just shout, thank you to them nonstop. Because those people understand it's like, you know, what does that cost them to give a couple cases of beer?
Yeah.
Jack shit. But now all these people at our event, when we get to tell them like, hey, this place was incredible. They gave it all to us for free. You got to check them out. It's like, you'd like to think that that's going to pay back in the local community at some point. That they're going to go, oh, yeah, I remember hearing about them. They're great. You know, and...
By the way, that brings up a point. I want to talk to you after the show about something.
Okay.
I have a show idea that I think would be a good thing to partner with you on.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah. But no, just those people understanding like you said, you're running $500 ads. You're going to lose your ass on it, right?
Yeah.
But if your goal is to make a great show, it's like you got to put in.
Well, and there's so many other benefits, dude.
But at some point, you're losing it now. But at some point, that will pay off.
Well, and that's the thing is, like I said this earlier, like a big part of this is networking. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a gig trader. 100. I will never be the dude that's like, I'll give you a spot if you give me a spot on a show. But I also know that if I book someone I've booked people from Austin that drive up. I have my June show. I have a dude from Oklahoma City driving down because he's a great comic. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I know if I put them on something and they see me, I'm good enough that they'll be like, oh, that's a funny comic. And then that could turn into opportunities. I'm not going to ask for opportunities, but that can turn into opportunities. So yes, like it's good stage time for me when I invest this money and I'm going to lose money, but it's good stage time for me. It's good stage time for other comics. It helps me network. It helps me get to know people that would be hard for me to get in front of if I didn't come to them and be like, hey, I got a 25-minute spot for you where you can come out of town. I'll pay you a decent amount of money to make it worth it for you. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we'll be able to build some sort of connection off of this.
Yeah, because then at that point, all it is now you just need to work on your funny, right?
Yeah.
If they are on that show with you and you're getting good laughs, now they're going to be like, oh, yeah, the guy who booked the show, he's a really funny comic.
Well, and you know how many people hit me up from Denver, from Boston, from Nashville, from Austin, from all these other cities where they go, hey, reaching out, this other person told me you were a good person to talk to. I need help getting on shows in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And I'm more than happy to do that. And it's like, that's all come from show running, from me traveling, and like, not only do I know people, but also they go, oh, and he's a good comic, so he's probably not disliked in his scene. He's probably respected. So if he vouches for someone, then he can help them get on a show. Like, there's just so many benefits. And it kind of sucks. It's kind of gross that on some level, like, there's comics that'll definitely hate me talking about this and like saying that it's a good thing.
Yeah, but
it's reality.
What I've learned too about y'all's comedy scene anyway, just this comedy scene here, and it's like, look, you're not winning all of them over anyway.
No, you won't.
Everybody has their little clique, and they're all cool in some ways and shitty in other ways.
Sure, and it is cliquey. It's high school. It's so stupid, but it is.
Because I've already been doing this long enough now to have my own little group of haters, and it's like, that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah, but I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's another thing I tell new comics, like, find your group.
Yeah,
find your group where everybody's striding towards the same goals. You can grow together, and you're okay with them succeeding more than you, and you're not going to get like, I'm so lucky to have Danny and Cody, like, and Liz. Like, those are my guys. Like, Liz Mooney, Cody Swindell, Danny McGow. Like, I don't get jealous when any of them. I'm pumped when they're successful. Like, I did Rose City with Liz Mooney, who's been doing it half as long as me, and she headlined over me. You know how many comics would be like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like, no, I was stoked. I'm like, hell yeah. Like, go out there, do 20 to 25 minutes, and I am going to cheer you on from the back of the fucking room.
I think that's your athletic background.
Sure.
That's why I want to get my son into this stuff, because you don't view it as like, they don't fucking deserve that. You view it as like,
no, don't get me wrong. I still have that with other people.
Sure, but really.
But it's like, that's my team. Those are my teammates.
Well, and it's like, you're in control of you getting those spots.
Sure.
You just got to work on the jokes, right?
100%.
That's it. It's
100%.
like they just want to sell tickets, and they want to make sure you're funny.
Yeah, and by the way, Liz deserved that spot. I want to make sure that that's out there. That I'm not sitting there like, I should have. No, like, Liz 100% deserves. She's so good. She's killing it.
Man, Liz is she's another one. I didn't know what to think about her.
Yeah,
but you get it's like the first time I saw her, and I don't know her. And she's talking about, like, she's doing jokes about, like, boob jobs and stuff, right? And you're like, because I'm so jaded, because you see so many of these fucking reels of these, like, attractive women just talking about these tropes of whatever. And you're like, is Liz
is attractive? No, I'm kidding.
But you see so many of them who aren't working on jokes, and they're leaning into, like, looks and things to get these cheap laughs. And it's like, I was wondering, I was like, is she one of those? I can't really tell. And then I got to watch her a few more times, but then talking to her and realizing, like, especially after the podcast episode where it's like, oh, no, she's not throwing this out here hoping to get some attention. She's kind of just this open book.
She actually wants zero attention if you really get to know her.
Well, but it's like, I don't know if she said anything, but she's talking about something else that's going to happen to her. And she was just, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this to me the other night. I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh. Okay. And she's like, yeah, I know it's stupid, but I want to, and it's just going to happen. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
And you realize, like, oh, no. This isn't some setup. That's just her. But I can see how easy it would be to hate on that if you got the wrong idea. Because I was leaning this close to having the wrong idea on it.
Sure.
But no.
The amount of comics that get shitty about female comics doing well.
I know.
I'm like, guys, it's just they have a different path. It's totally different.
I thought it would have been hilarious if you were like, guys, it's a different time. Ladies can do comedy now.
Guys, they can speak publicly.
They can do it.
They can give their opinions. You don't have to like it. Trust me, none of us like it when they talk. No.
Anyway, I think that's where we end it, right?
Yeah, let's end it on Jacob being misogynistic.
That's the clip.
We finally got his true self out there.
You said you needed some clips. That's the one. No, but thanks so much, man. What are all the shows you're producing these days?
Dude, holy.
What are we doing?
Can I pull out my phone?
This is going to come out in about 2 weeks.
Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. Let me look at this. Let me look. 2 weeks from now is the 26th. Okay, I'll be at Cowabunga.
Oh,
I'll do Cowabunga at the Fillmore on May 28th.
Mm-hmm.
I have Next Stop Show June 7th at Petty Cola's. I have Kickback Comedy Show, possibly the last one for a while, on June 19th at Big Laugh Comedy Club in Fort Worth. I'll be doing Next Stop Comedy in Pineville, Louisiana, right outside of Alexandria. That's Jimmy Nelson, Danny McGow, and I. And then Next Stop Comedy at Petty Colas on August 9th. That's what I got on the board 2 weeks from now.
Ooh, man, that's a
And
solid
later.
little lineup you got going on.
Yeah. Oh, the
Cowabunga
Petty
one's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, the Petty Colas ones, I'll tell you after. Those are pretty stacked lineups.
Have you got to
too.
do Cowabunga yet?
No, okay. No, I have not. I was booked on one like a little over a year ago at one of, not the Fillmore, but one of their like second, third venues that they were doing for a while.
Yeah.
And right before I did it, they canceled that venue.
Don't worry, the Fillmore, that's the venue.
I know, I've been there multiple times and supported. It's awesome. I'm stoked.
You're going to have a good time, man. That's
I'm
gonna be a
really
fun show.
excited.
All right, other than the ones we just listed, we already talked about Danny, we already talked about Liz, we already talked about Cody Swindell. Everyone's been on this podcast now.
Yeah.
So who else? Who's somebody, one or two people you think we should be looking out for?
Yeah, so those three for sure. They're the best. Dude, I feel so bad because my answer is going to be the same as Danny's when he was on.
Sure, go ahead.
And it's Scott Crisp, Zach Webb, Jimmy Nelson.
There you go.
End of list.
No
those
hate
are
there.
the three.
The only one I hate is Jimmy Nelson because he hasn't come on the show yet,
fuck
and he
that
knows
guy.
that. I've told him.
Fuck that guy.
I mean, go watch him. He's super funny, and like
Oh, screw him.
he deserves you to go to a show. But I'm getting jaded. It's fine.
Oh, the last time I saw him, he was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know you're getting fat." I was like, "Thanks, Jimmy."
So yeah,
piece of shit.
so don't like him, but go support him. Okay,
He's so good.
all right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks
Yeah,
so much
thanks
for coming out,
having me,
man.
dude.
The I'm a Fan of podcast, music, comedy, and more.